What is going on, everybody? How we doing today? As usual, hope we're doing well. It is a Saturday, and we're doing our usual Saturday stream, but it's not just any Saturday stream, of course. It is a UFC Saturday. We are going to be watching. I didn't know it was a numbered card. It was like UFC 320 something, I feel like, but I could be wrong. But the big fight on this card is going to be, I almost said Charles Holloway. Geez, Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira. I am a little bit late, of course. I apologize for that, but we are just about to get into the first fight. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. What's going on, Joe Rogers? What's going on, Zachary Vered? And yeah, um, I just got back from dinner, which is why I'm a little late. And the UFC card, specifically the main card, they start a little bit earlier now. Instead of 10 p.m., they start at 9 p.m. So, this is going to be the first fight on the main card. It is going to be Ferreira versus Rodriguez. Ferreira in yellow, Rodriguez in white. I'm probably going to call him Ferreira as well as Ferreira, right? That's what's going to end up happening. I'm just going to call him whatever comes out first. I really don't know anything about these guys. I got to be honest with you. I don't know who else is on the card. I'm going to check that in a second, but right now we're a little under 30 seconds into this first round of the first fight, and I don't think literally anybody has thrown anything yet. It has been over 30 seconds and no one has thrown a single thing. That is kind of crazy. What's going on, Sherry? Thank you. I appreciate that. I was going to this Vietnamese guy, and he's a really cool guy, and he has a thing for money too. He has a thing for currency, paper currency specifically. He has a whole wall of paper currency in his place, and it's really cool. And I was going to him basically because it's like, hey, he's a small business, but the thing is, he fucks my hair up. He fucks my hair up. Like, it's like a 50-50 as to whether or not he's going to do a good job or a bad job. And like, that's too much for me. That's too much. So unfortunately, I didn't end up going back to him this time. Ooh, there's a lead cross from Ferreira that connects on Rodriguez. That is the first major punch in this fight. Double jab from Rodriguez. But yeah, thank you for that, Cherry. I appreciate it. There's a kick from Ferreira. Yeah, I went to an Asian barbecue place, which was actually pretty good. Never had hot pot, never had any kind of like Asian barbecue. I had Korean barbecue, but and Rodriguez pops Ferreira with a cross, and he puts him just about out. You can see Rodriguez on ice skates right now. He cannot get up, and that is as quick as it happens sometimes. That just is what it is. I don't know if there was a jab behind it, but I saw Rodriguez's left side twitch, and then I saw the moment he threw that cross and connected with it. It was a nice, clean, compact cross right down the middle. Not a whole lot of telegraph or anything like that. So that was a pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I like the pretty clear steroid gut on Rodriguez. It's very interesting. It's very interesting to see. Oh, actually, no, I was mistaken. It was a really short right hook, is what it was. The angle that I saw it at, it looked like a cross down the middle when I saw it, but no, it was a really short right hook that connected right on the chin. And that's something I was thinking about. Like last night, I did a stream and I didn't do that good of a job explaining things on the stream. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about, we watched a video of a street fight where one dude takes on like five dudes and does not actually do that bad of a job at it. I was going to say that like one of the biggest assets that training in a martial art gives you is that you get good at being able to find somebody's chin. When you're throwing punches, it's not that hard to hit somebody in general. Specifically when you're throwing with reckless abandon and you have no thought about any kind of power or speed or anything like that. When the other person is untrained, it is kind of easy to hit them comparatively, but to be able to target the chin like that and really put somebody down, that's a really, really big asset to have, and you need proper training. You need reps to be able to throw like that. Because most people, they're gonna hit somewhere around here, which is like, that's not bad, but I mean, you hit somebody in the temple, that might knock them out, but it's no guarantee. When you hit them in the eye, probably not going to knock him out, you know. You hit him in the forehead, forget about it. That ain't happening. But you hit him in the chin clean like that dude just did. It doesn't matter how tough somebody is. There's a good chance they're going to go down, you know. Um, there's a myth that some people have better chins than others. And I mean, I just called it a myth, and I like it kind of isn't, I guess, a little bit, you know. It comes down to how you're built and what kind of musculature you have. But uh, there's only a certain point to everybody, right? What it comes down to when it comes to getting hit is whether one, you're positioned properly, and two, whether you can absorb the shot properly, right? Um, I don't want to, like, if somebody's throwing a punch here, I don't want to move my head into the punch like that. I would want to move my head away from the punch so that as it's coming in, that happens naturally, right? I wouldn't want to go, huh, like that. And that's why you see people, they run into punches and they go flat, they flatline, you know? Um, if you're good at being able to move with punches, to roll with punches, then you're going to be hard to knock out. And in addition to that, if you're good at making sure your chin stays tucked, you're also going to be better at being able to absorb shots, you know? So if you can target, like that's what a lot of boxing and that's what a lot of just combat sports in general is about, is how do you expose somebody's chin so that you can hit them there so that hopefully you're going to actually knock them out, you know? Um, I don't know what the metric they were showing on the UFC stream was a second ago, but this guy is now in second place for something behind Alex Pereira. It's probably some kind of like light heavyweight knockout thing. These guys look like light heavyweights, though they could be 185ers. I'm not sure. But like it's really like not annoying. It's just weird, like the way that like you'll have dudes. It's like I don't know who this guy is. I don't think most people know who this guy is. There's gonna be people who pretend they were Rodriguez fans since day one now that he had like a really good knockout just now. But like this dude has been like close to breaking a record apparently, and he's what? He's fucking oh, hold on. I just realized something. This guy's apparently in second place for a record right now, but nobody knows who he is, you know? It really just shows how annoying it really shows how annoying the UFC can be, you know. But funniest thing that happened this week is Patchy Mix, former Bellator champion who was 19-1 coming into the UFC and went 2-0, 0-2, excuse me, just lost to a 19-year-old prospect in Ryzen. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, it suits you. Thank you very much, Cherry. Yeah, you see, like that's the unfortunate thing about Bellator is that there were a lot of people who um there were a lot of people in Bellator who they basically got fed fighters that were like dog shit, if we're being honest here, you know? Like that's what happened with Michael Venom Page. I remember seeing highlight reels of Michael Venom Page and he's absolutely starching dudes like it's nothing. And then you go look at these dudes and you realize, oh, that's why, because this is a dude who's like a cab driver. They pulled some guy out of the fucking like whatever, you know? And that's why MVP is not as like not nearly as impressive now, is because the UFC doesn't need MVP. It's not like he's fucking Conor McGregor or anything like that. It's not like he's Sean O'Malley. So they're not giving him favorable matchups in the way that Bellator was. So because of that, he's winning, yes, but he's not winning in spectacular fashion. He's not knocking dudes dead. That's not happening, you know. It's really weird and annoying to see, you know. And that's what happened with Patchy Mix. I remember seeing Patchy Mix and just thinking, how is this dude in the UFC? He doesn't turn on his punches at all. From what I saw watching him in the UFC. I forget how long ago it was. I can tell how long certain things were ago because I've lived in three different apartments in like 5 years, 4 years, you know. So I'm like, oh well, this was in 2022 type shit. But I do remember watching Patchy Mix, and I remember thinking, wow, how did this dude end up in the UFC? He is barely fucking moving when he throws his punches. how is this like who is this dude fighting, you know? And it's like, well, makes a little bit of sense. Makes a little bit of sense there, you know? But yeah, yeah, that was pretty good. I got to do some videos. You know, I'm getting back into video making, and it's real easy videos. Though I am working on a video. I have somebody who's gonna do some editing for me. It's gonna be like a nice, easy, you know, edited video. Something that I honestly should do myself. But I already told this guy, hey, I want you to make the video, so I'm not gonna be like, nah, never mind. I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna pay him. You know. And he does a good job. He does a really good job. You know. Um, but like, fuck, what was I gonna say? Um, um, uh, uh, um, uh, um. No, but I have a video talking about hick libs and the umbrella that they go under that I'm calling tough libs, you know. And I've talked about hick libs before. It's something that it's I'm not the only one to notice it, but it's something that I feel like I'm one of the few people who will actually like delve deep into. I guess they're at the Sphere in Vegas is what it looks like, or maybe they're just showing the Sphere just to be like, haha, we're in Vegas. I don't know though, but anyway, um, yeah, like I'm excited for that video. You know, my videos like they do so. You know, it is what it is. Like every now and again, I'll get a video that breaks a couple thousand or maybe even more. But you know, I'm excited to get that out. But there are a couple of videos that I need to do that are fighting related. You know. Apparently, a fight on the White House card fell through, which really upset the UFC brass. People are speculating it was Jones. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. You know, these guys, you see, people never used to pull out of fights. They used to fight injured, they used to fight sick. And look, here's the thing. That is a nice thing to do. That's something nice to do as a fighter. You don't owe anybody fucking anything because at the end of the day, the UFC does not care about you, you know. They're going to replace you as soon as you become inconvenient in some way shape or form. So, you know, fuck it. But part of the reason dudes are all of a sudden pulling out of fights whenever they stub their toe is because one, the money is not good enough, and two, the stakes are too high. If you get into the UFC, right, and you go 1-2, if you go 2-2 even, if you go 2-1, but like the two wins were fucking boring, there's a good chance you're gonna get cut, and you're gonna get cut with fucking prejudice, you know? And because of that, you don't want to have a bad performance because they're not going to chalk that up to, oh, you fought injured. I guess it's understandable. That's all right. You'll get another one. It's cool. It's cool. Don't worry about it, man. Um, they are not at all even a little bit forgiving to you if you are not if you are not interesting. John Jacek versus Wei Lee was like 4 or 5 years ago or something like that. 6 years ago, actually. Shit, that was a good fight. That was a good women's MMA fight. You know. But yeah. Anyway. If that's the case, if you losing a fight is going to have drastic and um catastrophic consequences to your career, why would you fight knowing that you're not going to be in good shape to be able to do a good job, you know? It doesn't even matter. Like, if you lose, but you put in a really, really good performance, like for instance, right? I know a guy, his name's Peter Barrett. We actually trained together when I first started. Um, he made it to the UFC. He beat a guy that he was supposed to lose to. He ends up losing his first fight against a guy who is still in the UFC to this day. I actually saw him fight um, kind of recently, I feel like, within the last year. But then he ends up fighting Chase Hooper, and he is beating the hell out of Chase Hooper. But Hooper ended up catching a last minute, and I mean, like, I'm pretty sure it was like last minute, like 1 minute left in the fight. He caught a last minute heel hook. So after Peter Barrett was beating the hell out of him for 3 rounds, he lost on a fluke essentially. Like they could have fought 9 more times, and that never would have happened. And Peter could have won all 10 of those, given the way that this fight was going. And instead of them being like, all right, you got one more, we'll give you one more. That was a good performance. Hey, it happens. It didn't go your way. They fucking cut him. They sent him back down. And I'm curious about that too. I'm curious about that. Let's check that out. Um, um, he was called Slippery Pete. I cannot. I could never stand that nickname, Slippery Pete. It's just but anyway, let's see. Yes, Chase Hooper right here, right? 3 minutes and 2 seconds into round three, he caught a heel hook. If you watch that fight back, you'll see like, oh, actually, like, damn, Pete was doing good. He was controlling the pace. He was landing at will. He was really flowing. And going into round three, I can remember basically everybody being like, yeah, well, Pete's doing a good job. He's just got to get through this round. You know, you don't want to take those chances anymore. You don't want to take them. You take those chances and you lose, and you end up in a place where now you're back down to now you're back down to the whatever it's called, the place with the stuff. You're back down to the regional circuit. Oh man. Uh, Excuse me, sorry. Hmm. Anyway, yeah, I do wonder who it was though. It wouldn't surprise me if it was John Jones. And again, like, you have the opposite issue where like some dudes, they do so good for a little while that they end up these dudes, they do so good for a little while that they end up like just being dealt with forever no matter what they do. You know? Like Conor McGregor, if we're being honest here, yeah, that dude, he doesn't really belong in the UFC anymore. I'm sorry to say, but he's such a moneymaker and he did well enough 10 years ago at this point. Excuse me. He had a really good 2015 is what happened with Conor McGregor. And because of that, he's been able to shit around for fucking 7 8 years now. Same thing with someone like John Jones. He had a really good 2011. John Jones had a really good 2012. And because of that, he's able to crash into pregnant women and run off, and the UFC is never going to get rid of the guy. It's just so stupid. It's so ridiculous. you know Joanna Jędrzejczyk is like, I kind of can't stand her, if I'm being honest with you. She's just like she's not even like ugly per se, but she has this quirk chungus thing about her that's just like, oh man, I kind of can't stand that. I kind of can't stand that. You know, it's like, it makes her ugly. The quirk chungus thing that she's doing right now, it's like, didn't they fire him like 2 or 3 times for all the coke test fails in the past? I mean, if they fired him and brought him back, did they really fire him? It's like you get arrested and the UFC is like, oh, how long is this? Oh, Drew Dober's fighting. How long is he gonna be away for? How long is he gonna be in jail for? 2 years. All right, he's fired for 2 years. Like, we'll talk to him in 2 years, but for now, no, we don't like him. We don't like him. No, sir. We don't want him. And it's like, yeah, all right. That's not fired. That's that's not fired. That's just like waiting for him to get right, you know? So we got Drew Dober versus a black guy, and we all know the meme about Drew Dober. So it's gonna be funny if he wins this. He actually, like, I saw people on the internet giving him shit for not liking the memes, and it's like, no, I totally get that. Like he's probably a nice guy who doesn't have like any he doesn't seem he just looking at him, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's into anything political. So he's not gonna sit there and be like, aha, yeah, that's right. Ha 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 ha. Either that, if he is political, he probably doesn't want to be known as the dude who only tries to beat up black people. you know? So because of that, it's like, well, yeah, like, of course he's. Of course, he's not going to be happy about that. Like, what do you expect? You know. Um. Here we go. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Though we're looking like an Aryan super soldier. That's the funny thing too, is he's like he's whatever the opposite of dysgenic is. Would it be like progenic or something like that? Like whatever the opposite of dysgenic is, Drew Dober is. He's just got that like he looks like Hitler would call him up on stage and be like, "This is the master race." That's what he looks like. That's what makes it so funny, you know, is he's like a clean cut, like non-pussy looking white dude. Because that is an issue that white people have, is that they make their kids look like pussies a lot of the time. Like they have this thing where like they dress their kids from an early age in like sandals, you know. Um and it's like eh, white parents encourage their kids to look and behave dweeby, and it's such a bad thing, you know. And like Drew Dober does not have that look about him, you know. So it's like, yes, of course, as soon as he beats one black or brown dude, they're gonna be like, Drew Dober, Aryan super soldier. Of course they're gonna be that way, you know. But like, yeah, I totally get it. I wouldn't want to be known as the guy who only beats up like black people. That'd be like, yo, like I you know, I do have black friends, or at least acquaintances anyway. I don't have that many friends in the first place, you know, but like I don't know that I want them to think that my thing is, yeah, I try extra hard against the blacks. It's like, no, of course not. That's weird, you know. Scott, is there anyone in the UFC that is the draw of Ronda Rousey or Conor McGregor anymore? No, other than maybe someone like Alex Pereira. Like the thing is, there's some guys that are very well known, but their star is not as big. Like for instance, Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway. Those are two guys who they are pretty well beloved. They're very well known. A lot of people know about them, and I mean, they're a draw, but they're not the draw of like a Ronda Rousey or a Conor McGregor or something like that, you know? Alex Pereira is probably the closest right now, and I don't think, is the same draw as someone like a Conor McGregor or a Ronda Rousey. I just don't see that, you know? Johnson. I forget who this is. It's Michael Johnson. Okay. Yeah, so it's Michael Johnson versus Drew Dober, I guess. So we'll see how that works. Um, but yeah, they're saying age is just a number. It's like, well, how old is Michael Johnson? Speaking of which, I gotta check what the thing is. With the stuff. The card. Um, UFC. Um, there we go. Yeah, so Rodriguez, Ferreira, Dober, Johnson. We have Rob Font fighting Rosas Jr., Raul Rosas Jr. Okay, I guess I'm a little interested in that. You know, we have you know, Rob Font, who's a Massachusetts guy, fighting one of the guys that the UFC picked up as like someone they were trying to, you know, give a star vehicle to. And then we have Borralio versus De Ritter, which I am a little bit interested in as well. And then of course Holloway Oliveira. So there is that. There is that. Oh man. Sorry. I got fucking meat stuck in my teeth and it's fucking annoying, you know? Yeah. Drew Dober is just kind of like a funny guy, and it's cuz of his jawline, you know. It's cuz of his face. He looks like hot Squidward, right? Um all right, let's see this. Um yes. Like This right here, hot topic. This right here is Drew Dober. That's Drew Dober right there. You know, Drew Squidward. But yeah, you know, that's what the UFC needs is dudes like Drew Dober. Dudes like Joe Lozon, dudes that like they never touched a belt, but like they were dependable to put on a good show. It's unfortunate that kind of like how McDonald's, the corporate McDonald's brand, is less about selling burgers now and more about collecting real estate, collecting rent from the people who sell the burgers. The UFC is less about putting on good fights and more about finding a way to create revenue via deals and stuff like that. That's what the Reebok deal was. That's what the Venom deal was. That's what this Paramount Plus deal is. It's just it sucks now. I do this every time. I don't want to get too crazy. I don't want to get too deep into. Jeez, I don't want to get too crazy deep into the whole like what's wrong with the UFC today thing. Like you guys have heard enough of that by now, I'm sure. But it's just you know you know it's just annoying. So yeah, Drew Dober's 36, Michael Johnson's 39 is what they are saying. Drew Dober's 5'8". 5'8" fighting at 155 pounds is pretty crazy. He could easily, dudes like even Michael Johnson, 5'10", fighting at 155 pounds. Johnson could drop down to 145, and Dober, if he really wanted to, he could drop down to 135 potentially. Potentially, I think he could probably make it. Standing at 5'8", forget about it. Like these guys though, you can see they're built. Like even for like 155 pounds, these guys are built. A lot of dudes who are taller that fight at 155, like, it depends. It depends. Some of these dudes cut crazy weight. Like Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway, they're doing this fight at 155 pounds. They're not as built as these guys. You know, I don't know how tall those guys are, but it's just the body types. The body types. But look at the dude standing right there next to Drew Dober. You can see the height difference between them. These young up and comers who could challenge for a title one day. Yeah. Michael Johnson actually has really good wins despite his record. He beat Poirier, Barboza, and Ferguson. Yeah, yeah, like that's how the UFC used to be. Is like everybody used to fight everybody, and because of that, you'd see a dude who he could very well be like he could be he could be like yeah. You can even see the height difference between Dober and Johnson right now. It's like palpable. Um, what Dober's going to have to do is he's going to have to try and bait Johnson to overextend and then punish him for it, which it seems like Johnson's going to do that from that first jab. He's big step in with that jab, you know, really easy to see that first jab coming. That was a nice jab cross when Dober came in with a jab to the body, though, I will say, that's the thing. I don't think Dober should take the initiative here unless he's absolutely like. What I think Dober should do is he should try to walk Johnson up against the cage as best he can. He should use his ring generalship to walk Johnson up against the cage, and then he should take the initiative because then Johnson doesn't have anywhere to go. What Johnson's going to want to do is he's going to want to step back. He's going to want to fade out by a few inches to a foot, and he's going to want to counter off of that, which is a good strategy for him. Ooh, that was a jab cross from Johnson. Looks like something may have landed, or it was deflected, and Dober was just off balance there. There's a jab from Johnson again. Like that jab it's not like telegraphed necessarily, but it's from a little bit far out, and because of that, it's easy to see coming. And it's like I said, Dober as not only the smaller fighter, but also a lefty. Oh shit, this is a lefty battle. I didn't even realize. He as the smaller fighter, he's going to be better off. He's going to be better off waiting for Johnson to swing, making him miss, and then punishing him for that, you know? Especially because Michael Johnson is quick. You know, they mentioned his speed. Ooh, that was a nice short left hook from Dober. That was a nice stiff jab from Michael Johnson there. But that was a nice kick from Dober. You can see that bent Johnson's leg in. He can't take too many of those. I think Dober should probably stick with those kicks to the outside too, because it's tough. It can be tough to land punches off of a kick sometimes, you know, especially the way Michael Johnson's throwing them. Ooh, nice inner leg to a jab from Michael Johnson. You know, that inner leg from Michael Johnson is moving Dober's leg out of the way. You know, he could use that. Ooh, that was a nice hook from Dober. Dober worked his way in with a double jab there. You know, if he is going to work his way in, he's got to make sure he's using that to get in. He can't just walk in and try throwing bombs, you know. I know Drew Dober is kind of known as a bit of a knockout artist, a dude that'll really like let you have it, you know. Um, But what was fuck? What was I saying? Yeah, like what I was saying is like the UFC used to be a place where everybody fought everybody. So you might have a dude that loses to one guy, but he beats another guy, and because of that, like it's like Keith Jardine, for instance, right? He lost to a few dudes that are legends. He also beat a few dudes that are legends. He beat Chuck Liddell, for instance, right? Um, that was a nice right hook from Drew Dober. Seems like it hit kind of the upper rib area. Drew Dober is doing a good job of working his way in with his jab. You know, that's actually what I'm going over in my Muay Thai class right now. We were going over defensive jabbing. We're about to next week start with offensive jabbing, using your jab to close distance, to disguise movement and stuff like that. Dober's doing a good job. He's going double jab and then he's working his way. Ooh, spinning back kick from Dober does not land. That was an interesting combination there. There's a jab from Michael Johnson. I'm liking this so far. You know, nothing. Ooh, there's a nice low kick from Johnson. Nothing too crazy going on right now, but I feel like we could be in for something crazy, and I like that. These guys are, you know, they're keeping a decent pace. Looks like there might be a little bit of blood under Drew Dober's nose, probably from some of those jabs and crosses from Michael Johnson. You know, Michael Johnson is doing a good job of not just letting Dober in. Dober's hitting that double jab to get in close, but when he is in, Johnson's making sure to try and throw anything to land. There's a inner leg to a jab cross. There's a missed leg kick from Dober in return. You see, and that's what I'm talking about. Drew Dober dropped down and he went to a jab to the body and he got caught on the way out and it kind of wobbled him a little bit. You know, he's got to be careful about that. I almost want to see Drew Do and this is the annoying thing about politics. I don't have a dog in this fight, but I almost want to see Drew Dober win because of all the memes and shit like that. Because I don't want to see left wingers be like Aryan race, huh? And it's like Drew Dober was never about that in the first place. You know, but like because of the memes and because Drew Dober's white, they're gonna be like, so much for your Aryan genetics, huh, Drew Dober? That's right. White people are weak. It's like you know there's gonna be some like socialist MMA guy who, by the way, doesn't even watch MMA. He's never done MMA. He pays attention to what is said on Twitter and he tries to inject socialism into that, you know? Like Bloody Elbow is a great example of that, and they're probably the first example of that. Of those kinds of people is you know, dudes that they were never into MMA. They're not into MMA. They've never been to a gym. Maybe every now and again, like they happen to go to a B Dubs on a Saturday and a card's on, and they're like, "Oh, gee, would you look at that?" And they're showing up. They're showing up to these press conferences to be like, "So, Mister, I have a question for Sean Strickland. Don't you feel bad about the trans people?" Like asking loaded questions and shit like that. Like that's what Bloody Elbow is. They are essentially Gamergate, but for MMA is what Bloody Elbow is, and all these guys who are like, socialist MMA, you need to train because there's a fascist who's training, so you need to train. And it's like you look at him, and it's a dude that's fatter than me, you know. Ooh, that was interesting. Drew Dober ducks under the jab. He tries to make Michael Johnson pay for it, but he doesn't seem to land anything good. It looked like a short hook from Dober landed there. Johnson swing and miss, but like I'm overweight. Ooh, that was a nice. right hook from Johnson that looked like it connected on Dober. These guys are immediately a little bit higher energy, and that's what I want to see. Looks like a cross may have landed somewhere for Drew Dober, but I don't think it did damage. There's a kick attempt from Dober. I don't know if that landed either. But okay. So Dober, one of the things I've seen Dober do. Whoa, that spinning back kick almost landed for Dober. That would have been lights out. One of the things I'm seeing Dober do is he's stepping in with a jab and then he's dropping weight to try and avoid the counter from Johnson. He's trying to counter the counter, which is a very good idea. That's what I was talking about. Is he needs to bait reactions from Michael Johnson and then make him pay for that. If he can keep that up, he's going to be in a place where he's going to get closer and closer to actually landing. There's a jab from Michael Johnson, but one of the things I there's an overhand from Dober that actually it landed and it landed behind the ear, but it didn't rock Johnson the way you would have expected. You heard that thud too, so good for Johnson being able to eat that. But yeah, it's funny that there's an inner leg to a jab. That's been money for Johnson this whole time. He needs to use that to set something real up. He's going inner leg, and a lot of the time it's moving Dober. Oh, there is the knockout, and the meme continues. Drew the Aryan Dober. Drew the Aryan Soldier Dober knocks out Michael Johnson. And it was a beautiful long right hand after a jab. That was a really, really nice knockout from Drew Dober there. The doctor's checking on Drew Dober like, "Hey man, you okay?" It's like, dude, go see Michael Johnson. He needs it more right now. And bang, a cross right up the middle. Right, and exactly the same spot as the last fight where you see catches him right here, and that was enough. That was more than enough. You see Michael Johnson, he was out cold for a second. He was out cold for a second. Um, and when he hit the ground, he woke up, which is what happens a lot in MMA. It's usually you can see eyes closed, bang, still closed, and they open a half second after he bops his head on the ground. No, actually, they are still closed. There's the eyes. Now that I look at it, I think the whipping of the head maybe did that for a half a second. But even when Drew Dober went down for the final punch that almost starched Michael Johnson even further, you could see Michael Johnson was still asleep. That is what happens a lot of the time in MMA is you see dudes, they get caught and either A, hitting the ground wakes them up, or B, it's when they get hit again, they get woken up. So yeah, that was obviously a good call. It was a good call from what's it called? What's his face? The ref. The ref. That's whose face it is. And yeah, that was a good fight. I like that. Um, what I was saying though is I'm obviously overweight and I'm actually losing weight. I'm down like 20 pounds in a month and a half, believe it or not. I was 285 about a month and a half, 2 months ago. I'm 265 now. So I'm actually coming down from where I was. So I'm really happy about that. But excuse me. Fuck, what was I gonna say? Um, oh yeah, you can tell when someone used to be an athlete or is an athlete, but they've just let themselves go, and someone who has never been an athlete who's trying to feign like they are one. And that's what a lot of these socialist MMA guys are. They're dudes that were never athletes that are trying to pretend like now they train or something like that. And it's so clear they don't. Like me, even at 285, I was like really looking bad. I was looking really, really fucking bad, but you could see from just the way that my body was, the way the fat was distributed, the way I carried it, that yeah, I have spent my entire life doing physical activity, including mixed martial arts. You see, there's this one dude, I believe he actually calls himself Socialist MMA. He's like some black nationalist, hey yo, we got to train and shit because the white boys is training, and we got to beat their ass and shit. Um, I've called this guy out, right? Yes, Nick Cruz. Nick Cruz. This guy right here, he has never done mixed martial arts a day in his life. Right? He has never done mixed martial arts a day in his life. He's soft. He's pudgy. There is no anything under that at all, you know? And it's just like, ooh, like that's a nice picture of this dude too. Let's go ahead and take a look, right? Let's go ahead and take a look. 13 days ago, 1 day ago, right? Like you see how soft and round this guy's head is. You see how doughy he looks. You see how fat his hands are. Look at my hands. I have Irish hands, so they're kind of like short fingers, kind of stout, right? But my hands are not fat. Even when I was 285 pounds, they were not fucking fat. And you got this fat loser who thinks he's gonna kill the white man or something like that, and he's too afraid. He's too afraid to fight a white man. He's too afraid to fight a white man. But he can sit behind his he can sit in front of his camera and talk shit about white men, you know, and he can pretend like he's Mr. MMA, oh, Mr. Socialist MMA. You gotta train because we gon' take out the white boys and shit. Yeah, right. You're gonna take out some Krispy Kreme donuts, and then I'm gonna break your legs. Is what's gonna fucking happen. You know, you fucking idiot. Dober would beat Prime John Jones. I truly believe it. It's the Hyperborean spirit within him. It's the Hyperborean spirit. Drew Hyperborea Dober. Fucking Drew Agartha Dober. Drew the Moonbase Dober. Oh man. Anyway, he does it again. He's too racist to lose. Fuck yeah, man. It's like I said, I feel for him, because it's like I totally get it. You want to be a role model. This dude probably coaches classes, he probably coaches people of all different races, religions, and creeds, and like he's got to go on Twitter and see people making those kinds of jokes about him, and it's like, oh fuck, what if like somebody I teach sees that and they think, oh well, I don't know, is he? It's like, oh shit, man, that's bad for me. That's not good. Um, but yeah, that was a good fight. Those are the kinds of fights we need. High energy, high output. Both of those guys, they had game plans, obviously, but they were not like sticking to the game plans ad nauseum. And somebody just got caught. Michael Johnson got caught. I think he was in that fight until he got caught. I do think Drew Dober was starting to figure him out a little bit, but not figure him out enough as to where it was gonna be a real, like, something real. Anyway, let's go here. Bada bing. Oh, that was great to see. Hold on, fucking hold on. I just Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping helping Iran decolonize the Middle East. Global oil prices skyrocket. Ah, yes. Yes, he's and again, as a socialist black guy, he has to hate America and live in America while also being like, actually, they're doing good things over there. It's like, fucking die, you know? Nick Cruz, you fucking pussy motherfucker. I'll rip that beard off and make you eat it. Nah, I won't hit him. I won't hit him. Although is his no, he does not have open DMs. He posted something on Twitter 12 minutes ago, and I was about to like hit him up out the blue and be like, "Yo, when you gonna fight a white boy?" But I was like, "Nah, fuck that. That's a little too much." I was gonna slide in the DMs, but he doesn't have open DMs. I've publicly called this guy out before. I believe he's East Coast as well. So it's like, well, all right, there we are. The Fight Back podcast follows him because what's his face? Yeah, and Jake Shields follows him. You see, the problem with Jake Shields is that he is a fucking dummy. If we're being honest here, He's a great example of low IQ anti-Semitism, and he is absolutely positively going to become a communist at some point within the next 2 to 5 years. I can guarantee that. I love Jake Shields. He is a legend of the game. I would love to go to a seminar or train with him one day in some way, shape, or form. I'd love to meet him. But he's one of those guys who should be just like working the fields, or since he's a pro MMA legend, he should just be teaching classes and being relatively reactionary in that he's like, yeah, no, I don't want my kid to be trans. Like that's what Jake Shields should be. But instead he thinks he's some kind of intellectual. So because of that, he's got his podcast and he's running around and he's interviewing people from the American Communist Party. He's interviewing people from a bunch of different places, about how he's like, oh hey dude, you're fucking dude, the Jews control everything, right? He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys. He's going to be too easy to manipulate. When the American Communist Party starts talking about how and they already do. When the American Communist Party starts talking about how Israel is a problem, so Pereira versus Cyril Gane is going to happen at some point for the interim. Oh yeah, no, we already knew about this. The interim championship. It's going to be Pereira versus Cyril Gane. Okay, we'll see how that goes. Um, but yeah, like he's gonna be one of those guys who gets one-shotted by the American Communist Party pretending like they care about white people is what's gonna happen. He's gonna be one of those useful idiot white dudes who's like, well, actually, the people who care about the white race, just like how feminists, for a little while, they were trying to convince people that feminism is actually what men need. You know who does care about men? Feminists. Feminists care about men. Feminism cares about men because feminism wants to dismantle the patriarchy that makes men unhappy. And it's like the patriarchy didn't make men unhappy. Women made men unhappy. The last thing men need is more women making them unhappy. There's plenty of those in the world as is. And you're going to see someone like Jake Shields when the American Communist Party decides to embrace a form of identitarianism that is not explicitly like pro BLM, black nationalists, fucking like white people need to be cucks. When they embrace something like that, and it's probably coming at some point, you're gonna see Jake Shields start sucking dick. He's gonna start sucking penis. Is what's gonna happen. The dude sucks. And like it's like I said, he's a legend of the game. I'm sure he's a cool guy, but he just sucks on Twitter. He's become a woman. He's become a female. Do you know about cricket? I don't care about cricket. Cricket is what Indians play instead of baseball. So, I couldn't care less about cricket, if I'm being honest with you. Nitin Rajput, 29. Trump better be on a massive throne like he's Shao Kahn during the White House card, dude. He better be. He fucking better be. He better have a hammer with him too. They should have done O'Malley versus Sandhagen, and I'm surprised no Colby. Yeah, I'm pretty surprised at that too. I think Colby Covington's probably done for the most part. I think he's at a point where he's like, yo, I don't care anymore. Like, I had my time. Like, because think about it. Covington versus holy shit. Raul Rosas is just such a fucking weird looking dude. I'm sorry. He's just such a weird looking fucking guy, man. It's insane. Um, fuck. What was I gonna say? Fuck. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, but yeah, Colby versus it. It doesn't feel like it, but Colby versus Kamaru was 7 years ago, just about a little bit under 7 years ago. That happened in 2019, a little bit before the pandemic, and I think the next one happened either during or after the pandemic. But I can remember it being like 2019 when that happened. That was a good fight, but unfortunately, unfortunately, the UFC has not been doing very well since then. Fuck, what was I gonna say? Uh, Sorry, I blanked a little bit, but yeah, Colby's old now. Colby's an oldie at this point. He's got to be almost 40. He's got to be like 30, 38, 39. So I don't think he's going to be fighting too much more. But it would have been nice to see him on the White House card. If I was Colby, I'd want to be on the White House card so that, especially if I win, I get to put my gloves in the middle of the ring, the middle of the ring, the middle of the cage at the White House card. That would be a crazy moment, you know. But hey, it is what it is. I don't did they release the full White House card yet? I forget if they did or if they didn't. Rob Font versus an Area 51 alien that escaped. Yeah, pretty much yes, yes. That's yes, pretty much it. All right, let's see here. Are there did they release the White House card yet? They were gonna do that soon. They just did a second ago, and I wasn't paying attention for it, was I? Oh, I missed it. It must be on a tweeter somewhere. Um 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 Um, 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 Oh, fucking Cody Garbrandt fought on the undercard. That's another crazy thing is that like former champions will fight on the undercard at one point or another. It's like I don't think that should happen. You know, I mean, like I get it, you know, but it's just like, ugh, you know, fucking whatever. Um, um, but yeah, anyway. UFC White House card. Where the fuck? Oh, the UFC White House card is gonna be okay. So, Topuria versus Gaethje, Pereira versus Cyril Gane, Sean O'Malley versus some fucking Zahabi guy, Mauricio Ruffy versus Michael Chandler, Bo Nickel versus Daukhaus, Diego Lopes versus Steve Garcia. I mean, I guess that's cool. They definitely should have did a fan favorite card for the White House though, you know? Like it would be stupid if they did a White House card next year. That would be dumb if they did a White House card next year. The White House card is supposed to be for the 250th anniversary of the United States, right? Maybe in another 50 years they could do one, I guess. I don't know. But like this was their one chance to put together a card that was like going to be like crazy fun. They could have paid out the ass to get some dudes to like fight, but they just for some reason they're like, no, we need to make it into like, yeah, that's what we want during what is supposed to be the America card is Ayman Zahabi. How do you even say that name? Mauricio Rufy. Ho ho. Fucking Diego Lopes, a Brazilian who lives in Mexico. Yeah. That's the God Bless America card. That's the God Bless America card. A Georgian guy who lives in fucking Spain. It's like come on, man. And this is the thing that annoys me about it, right? The White House card gets this, but when it's Saudi Arabia, when it's Dubai, right? When they're doing a card in the Middle East, they make sure to stack the card with Muslim fighters who are given easy fights so that the Muslim fighters win and the Saudi oil barons can go halal 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 like they can fucking do that shit. Halal halal Islam halal halal like they get to do that. Meanwhile, what does America get? We get fucking like again Brazilians who live in Mexico fighting at the White House card. They should have put a gun to Colby Covington's head and been like, you're fucking fighting on that. You're fighting on it. You know, even Jorge Masvidal, even Jorge Masvidal, like fucking like get him in there. Dude's from Florida, whatever. He larps like he's Cuba. Whatever, get him in there. Fuck it, who cares? You know, it just Zahabi is the brother of GSP's coach. That was what I thought. Is like, oh, that's funny. He's got the same last name as Firas Zahabi. That's funny. Interesting. You know? But it's just like, man, like, come on, dude. Yeah, it's like okay-ish card. And it's the White House card. It's not supposed to be an okay-ish card. This was never going to happen unless there was like a perfect storm of things that occurred, and the perfect storm happened. And fucking TKO and Dana, their move is to be like, yeah, let's put like dudes that wouldn't be good for this card on the card. It's like, no, dude, put fan favorites on there. Get some dudes that retired 5 years ago. Be like, yo, we will give you so much money if you come on this card. We will give you so much money, you know. And you got I don't know if it's explicitly. Let me see Rousey versus Carano. May 16th, 2016, the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California, 145. Yeah, like, and when is the White House card gonna be? White House card UFC. June 14th. Okay, so they're gonna be a little over a month apart from each other. So like you could say that like on one hand, you could say on one hand that yeah, the White House card and the Rousey Carano card are kind of one of the Rousey Carano card is kind of like a fuck you to Dana and the White House card. You could say that, but also they're far enough away that it's like, well, well, they're kind of two separate things. But it's like I don't know, man. Like if they were on the same day, there's a chance I might not be tuning into the White House card. I think I would rather see Gina Carano take on Ronda Rousey. And then what wasn't there another like crazy matchup that was there was like another crazy matchup that was announced or something like that that was going to be the co-main or something like that. Um what are uh, Rousey Carano undercard. So yeah, this is a 38-year-old taking on a 21-year-old, and I'm actually not sure who's going to win this because truthfully, 21 years old, even in Mexico where you'll have dudes who are fighting at the age of like 16 and shit like that, you're not really allowed to do that in America, at least not officially. And that's one of the reasons why New England lags behind a lot of places in America in terms of mixed martial arts. I'll talk about that in a second. But 21 is you're still kind of cutting your teeth. You're still kind of getting your shit together that way, you know. So it's like ah, this is actually kind of a tough one. Even though right, even though it's obvious that this is a fight that Raul Rosas is supposed to win. It is kind of tough to see. Oh, baby, I have a Coke that I put in the freezer. Could you make sure that thing didn't explode? You know, is it good? Oh man, that's good. All right, so we have a front kick attempt from Rosas right out the gate because Rob Font is leaning forward in his stance. I don't know what the deal with that is. I don't know why he's leaning so forward. He's practically in a wrestling stance. He's practically in a grappling stance right now. There's a kick from Rosas. There's a couple of jabs, nothing really landing, you know. But yeah, what I was saying is one of the reasons why Massachusetts lags behind the rest of the country in terms of mixed martial arts. We've never, like, Massachusetts specifically has never had a champion. There's been a champion from Maine, that was Tim Sylvia, talking about in the UFC. And then a couple of dudes from not Connecticut, but Brazil, but they were also training in Connecticut at the time. A lot of people don't realize Alex Pereira trains in Connecticut with Glover Teixeira, who also trained in Connecticut. Also, Gabriel Gonzaga is living in Western Massachusetts, but he was training under Teixeira in Connecticut. Um, we don't start fighting in earnest until the age of 18. And a lot of that's a nice jab from Font. It looks like Rosas may have landed a jab as well, but I think the jab from Font was a little bit more devastating. Rosas kind of seems a little bit perturbed right now. He doesn't seem like he knows what to do about Font, which is again, that's kind of what I'm talking about is like Rob Font has so much experience over Roses. I remember when Rob Font made it into the UFC over 10 years ago at this point. Rob Font had his first UFC fight, I believe, when I was just getting into the sport in like 2014, 2015. So Rob Font has a lot of experience, and Roses, even though he's younger, he's probably quicker, a little bit more sharp. It can be tough to know what to do against a dude who's so experienced, and that's why I was saying I don't know what's going to happen with this fight, because even though Rob Font's almost 40 years old fighting at bantamweight, right? Rob Font takes a shot on the way in, but he delivers a shot to Rosas, who again, Rosas just seems like a little less coordinated than he should be, and that is what happens sometimes when you apply pressure in the way that Rob Font is. He's not. Rob Font is being patient, but he's pressuring in a way, and there is a takedown from Rosas. Rob Font is now on bottom in butterflies right now. He has an underhook on the leg of Rosas, which is going to make it hard for Rosas to do anything if he wants to stand up. Rob Font going for a sweep. It does not work. And he looks like he's rubber guard from Rob Font. Interesting. You don't see a lot of rubber guard. It looks like Rob Font might end up going for either a go-go plata, which I don't see happening necessarily, or more likely, what we will see from Rob Font is an attempt at an omoplata. Ooh, there was a sweep attempt from Rob Font, and he is up, getting to his feet, and he is out, but he is back down because Rosas kept the takedown in there. So Rob Font going to a similar position that he had a second ago, except instead of the rubber guard this time, he's trying to go feet on the hips. Rosas just holding on for dear life right now. Font using the cage to get up, but he is back down, and Rosas is still in on the back. He is throwing some knees right now. Rob Font just kind of holding position. I don't think he wants to get picked up, slammed, or anything like that. Rob Font trying to turn around, not working too well right this second. And he is back down to the mat. Rob Font back up now. You see Raul Rosas not really doing anything. I think the referee needs to call for action. He needs to call for improve. Ooh, Granby roll attempt from Rob Font, but does not work. I think the referee needs to call for action from Raul Rosas, and if that does not happen, he has to reset them. And I think that's something that needs to happen. That's not going to happen, unfortunately. But Raul Rosas, he did not feel comfortable on the feet, so he is holding Rob Font down right now, just praying, hoping and praying. Rosas needs to be careful because depending on what he does right here, Rob Font could have a bulldog choke. It's the way his head is leaning right there. So now Rob Font is in danger of having his back taken, but he stands up, and Raul Rosas is just going to try to take him down again. And Rob Font trying to reach for a leg from behind. Interesting move there. But if he wants that to work, what he's got to do is he would have had to take his right leg and step it behind and pull. But yeah, so there's that first round. I don't know whose round that is, because the thing is, the referees are supposed to value damage. I saw Rob Font land a little bit more on the feet, and he also did a better job at controlling the ring than Raul Rosas did. Raul Rosas did a really good job with his general control, but he did not improve position at all, ever. And then in addition to that, he didn't do any damage on the ground. He just held on for dear life. So I don't know who is going to be awarded that round. If I had to give it to somebody, truthfully, I would want to give it to Rob Font, because he did a little bit more than just fucking hold on for dear life. But hey, that is what it is. But one of the things that I was saying is, like, someone like Raul Rosas, he probably started fighting at age like 15 or 16. He probably had his first fight. You don't do that in Massachusetts specifically. So because of that, like, you're only going to have your first real MMA fight when you're 18 years old. Um, and you can be really, really good, but like somebody like Raul Rosas, he is a lot more experienced than the average American 21-year-old. So if it was a 21-year-old versus Raul Rosas, an American 21-year-old, then yeah, truthfully, I would expect him to do really, really well. But like the amount of experience Rob Font has, rivals Raul's, even if Raul started a lot earlier than Rob Font did. You know, Rob has been in the game for longer than Raul had. Like, Rob Font has been in the UFC for longer than Raul Rosas has been fighting. You know, there is another takedown attempt from Raul Rosas, which is just about works, but not exactly. And Rob Font circles to the back. Raul Rosas trying his best to get his hips high. Wow, successful sweep from Raul Rosas, but he is in danger of a triangle choke. He's got to be careful of that. See, Rosas got his other arm in, which was good. That was a nice reversal from Rosas. Let's see if he can actually do some fucking damage this time. He's probably not going to though. There's an attempted not elbow, shoulder strike from Raul Rosas. And he is holding position, which again, what needs to happen in these situations is if there is not some actual, like, real damage done, or if there is not an improvement in position, we are seeing Rob Font go back to that rubber guard again. And Rosas needs to be careful because if he raises his head up, there's a good chance Rob Font is going to end up in a actually, no. In that case, he was fine because Rosas had control of his right leg. But if Rob Font had his right leg free, he could have utilized that rubber guard to put in an omoplata. But yeah, what I was saying is if there is not some real improvement in either position or if there is not some real damage done by the man on top, I think the referee needs to have, say, a timer, or he needs to be able to count in his head to like 30, 45, 60, however long he wants to give the guy on top, or however long the rules give the guy on top. He needs to count to that much in his head, and if nothing happens, he needs to stand them up. This epidemic of dudes who just hang out on top for the entire fight while the guy on bottom actually tries to get up and do things. Okay, and Raul Rosas is attempting to backpack. He does almost have a back take on Rob Font. He has one hook in. Rob Font needs to be very careful, and almost. Rob Font was almost out of that, but Raul was able to get his hips higher. Therefore, he was in the guard position, which again is exactly what I'm talking about. You know, it sucks to see dudes that don't deserve wins get wins because like the referees have the judges have no choice but to give them those wins. You know, Rob Font is actually, he's active on bottom. He's trying to find ways out. He's trying to find ways to do damage. He even just threw an elbow from the omoplata. Omoplata. Oh fuck. Almost. Rob Font almost gets out, and he is in a position. Okay, interesting. Raul Rosas has an attempted stack. He bucket passes against. He almost bucket passes anyway. He's in a fucking half guard now. He couldn't even pass the guard properly with a stack pass. There is an attempt at a Kimura from Rob Font from the bottom right now. What Rob Font needs to do is he needs to try his best to pry that arm out, which is always easier said than done. But he is attempting right now, and he might get it depending on how things go. A lot of people don't realize this, but you are allowed to grab your own pants in MMA. At least last I checked, you were. I'm gonna have to double check that because I do remember a time where you were allowed to utilize your own pants, or maybe that was in no gi jujitsu, you know. But I was gonna say like Raul could be grabbing his own pants under there too, even if it's not allowed. The ref can't see that. So right now Raul can't even pass the guard. You know, like he's trying to pass the guard too is the thing. He wants to go to side control. He wants to go to mount, but it's just not happening. You know, there's two shots from the top from Raul Rosas. Do you hear? Did you hear what DC said about why Raul is just holding Rob down? You were right next to the TV. I couldn't hear that completely. Yeah, that's okay. I was just curious why. Like that's how you know you're in bad shape. That's how you know you're in a bad spot in a fight is when DC is saying, I think why Raul is holding Rob Font down. Like, even DC is admitting, like, yeah, Raul isn't really doing much of anything. He's not really fucking doing anything right now. I think the reason he's not doing anything is this. Gon versus Pereira is interesting. Not sure how to feel about it. I mean, like Gon versus Pereira, it's like okay, fine, whatever. It's cool. It's cool. But like a lot of these fights are fights that should not be happening. For the White House card, that is on the White House card. They should have got Rex from Napoleon Dynamite for the White House card. That would have been sick. See some Rex Kwando. See some Rex Kwando. Yeah, I don't know who is on the Rousey versus Carano card. I have no clue who's on that. It beats me, but I guess we'll see. But anyway, yeah, so let's get ready to see one more round of Raul Rosas either running away or holding him down. You know, Rob Font. Rob Font is not known for his KO power, so I don't anticipate a knockout here. But I think if you gave him round one and you gave Rosas Jr. round two, if Rob Font could just land enough punches and keep away from that takedown, I think he could potentially win this. But I just don't see it happening. There's a front kick from Rosas, which is one thing that Rob Font is in danger of. You can see Rob is a little bit slow. You can see he's a little bit slow. He's lumbering a little bit. That's because that is one thing about holding someone down is like, and there is a takedown attempt from Rosas again. And he gets the takedown, and we are in for another boring round. Another fucking boring ass dumbass round from this punk ass 21-year-old Mexican kid who wears his dumbass sombrero out to his fights, and then he does this fucking bullshit. He does this fucking bullshit. Yeah, DC just said it. I noticed it a second ago too. He's got the legs figure forward, but Rob Font, I think he could get out of this. He's just got to be careful he's just got to be careful to fucking, get Rob Font, he's out of it now. He's out of it now. His knees are out. Once you get your knees out of there, you're out of there. It doesn't matter if he's got your ankle. Excuse me. And we have more of what we saw in round one with Rob Font up against the cage in what is the most hetero Brazilian Jiu Jitsu position that you have ever seen with fucking Raul Rosas taking him down. Rob Font is actually doing more damage than Rosas is from the bottom right now. He's trying to throw punches. He landed a punch to the head. He landed a couple of punches to the floating ribs on Rosas's right side. And almost looked like a headbutt, but I think it was a shoulder strike from Rosas. This just sucks, man. This just fucking sucks. Especially someone like Rob Font. Rob Font is known as like a good fighter who's going to put on a good show, and we were robbed of that not because Rob Font sucks and like he decided to not show up to this fight. Rob Font showed up. Raul Rosas just fucking sucks. Like people don't understand the truth about grappling, right? They don't understand the truth about a lot of different things. Even people who grapple, they don't understand the truth about this, though. It is incredibly hard to keep someone from holding you down if that is their only goal. If their goal is to take you down and hold you there, it is incredibly difficult, no matter who you are, whether you're the best ever, or if you are some idiot who has taken one jujitsu class, it is so difficult to not have that happen, to stop someone from doing that. It's so difficult to escape. And it's because this person, all they have to do is lay their weight on you. In Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, you're not allowed to do that. you're not allowed to take somebody down and stay there. You have stalling calls that will happen. If you spend 20 to 30 seconds just holding position, the referee is going to give you a warning. And then if you don't move, you have another certain amount of time before they actually fucking disqualify you. Not like take a point away, not award a point to the other guy. They straight up are like, all right, you lose now. At least the last time I checked the rule sets for the IBJJF. I'm not a big IBJJF rules guy, right? But they are really, really serious about activity in the IBJJF. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do what's happening here. You will get in trouble. We almost had a throw, but unfortunately Rosas was able to reverse it. He was able to roll through and reverse it. So now he basically has side control. But again, he's just holding, holding, holding. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is the reason why it's so hard to keep someone down in a Brazilian. We have what was an attempted leg entanglement from Rob Font, fighting to the end like an actual fighter, unlike Raul Rosas, who should be cut from the UFC immediately. Dana White should come in and be like, put on your gay fucking sombrero and get out of here, you fucking idiot. You slack-jawed fucking dumbass. Get out of here. That's what Dana White should do right now, you know? I'm just so sick of seeing that shit in the UFC, dude. The point that I was making was in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, especially something like no-gi jiu-jitsu, the reason why you see all this action, all this high octane scrambling and stuff like that is because guys are actually trying to move around. And that's a tactic that you utilize a lot, especially at heavyweight, is you wait for the guy to start moving and you utilize that shift in his weight to create space and move. That's one of the reasons why it's a little bit slower, a little bit less technical by certain standards. The higher up you go in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is because these guys have a different pace and a different way that they do things compared to, say, someone who's 135 pounds, who, yeah, they could probably have a much easier time creating space regardless of what that 135-pound person is doing. But no matter who it is, if their goal is to do nothing other than hold you down, they're probably going to be able to do that a lot easier than you're going to be able to do anything to stop it. And because of that, it's not a question of, dude, if you were that good of a grappler, you'd be able to get out of that. That's not what it is. It's that this person did not show up to fight. Just like at a jiu-jitsu tournament, if somebody does that, the referee is going to assume, oh, this guy didn't show up to actually roll. He didn't show up to actually compete today. I'm not going to let this guy continue doing that. Faro raised the hand of the guy who was trying harder, you know? It just fucking sucks, you know? Yeah, he's a fucking mutant. Like, put on your gay fucking sombrero and get out of here, you mutant. Fucking idiotic, dude. I held down, I grapple, I held down, the kiwis, or whatever the fuck that shit he said was. What was it? Chiwiwis. Just like, holy fucking shit, dude. Like it's a 21-year-old kid. It's like I don't want to hate on him too much, but it's just like I'm tired of seeing that shit in the UFC and it needs to stop, you know? I have no issue with grappling. If I didn't want to see grappling, I'd watch boxing. I want to see grappling in the UFC, but that's not grappling. That's not fucking grappling. Shooting a single leg and then holding on for dear life, that's cowardice. I want to see transitions. I want to see submission attempts. I want to see ground and pound. That's what I want to see, you know? Nobody wants to see that shit, except maybe the Mexicans that like Raul Rosas. You know, that's it. They just fucking suck, dude. You know? Oh, man. Um, shit. Woo! Just fucking sucks, dude. This dude fucking sucks. Anyway. Sorry, just looking at some stuff that I missed on Twitter earlier. I got into an argument with some fucking loser. Some like you guys make fun of me. You say I have a square head. This dude that I got into an argument with. This dude is the king of the square heads. Fucking look at this dude. You know. It's like holy fuck. He looks. You remember what I said about like dweeby looking white kids? Like this dude definitely he had a Spider-Man t-shirt with like sandals. He may have wore socks with the sandals, and his mom thought that was fucking adorable. His mom thought it was so cute. This is what those guys grow up to be. Is this guy, and his whole thing is like he's like he talks shit about like Irish immigrants used demographic change and ethnically organized crime and political corruption to seize control of cities built by the heritage American settlers. Employment discrimination was the libertarian way of resisting this foreign domination. And my response to that was actually, the Irish have been around in this nation since day one. Yeah, people, when they think of the Irish, they think of the potato famine and coming over in the 1800s, which that's where my Irish ancestry comes from. Yes, but the Irish were founding stock in this nation. Uh, There was a fucking O'Sullivan in the Continental Army. He was Washington's most trusted general. And it's just like fucking there's this weird genre, right? There's this weird genre of dude who they might be like Anglo-American. They might be descended from like the English in America. There's a possibility, or maybe they are just straight up English themselves. But they have this weird thing where they can't just commit to the idea of like, yo, send the Somalis home. Yo, maybe we shouldn't take so many Mexicans in per year. Like, it can't just be, yeah, it's okay that the Irish came here in the 1860s, but like, get the fucking like Salvadorians out of here and stuff like that. It can't just be that. It's got to be, well, actually, all the immigration was bad, and this country was owned by the Anglo Americans. We don't count the Irish, the Dutch, the Germans. We don't count any of those guys who also fought in the Continental Army or anything like that. We don't count those guys. Um, and we also don't count any of the Irish that fought in the Civil War on either side either. They came here and they spilled blood for the nation. We don't count them either. Like, they have this thing where they have to say that type of shit, and it's like, yo, shut the fuck up, you loser. This is one of those guys who, like, he definitely, like, when he was in college, right? When he was in college, he definitely 100% was like a part of his college libertarian club, and he's one of those guys who's like, well, actually, I believe that people should be allowed to own ARs to protect their neighbors, their gay neighbors' weed fields. I think my gay neighbor should be allowed to protect his marijuana fields with an AR-15. I think that's what should happen. Like, he's definitely one of those guys, this fucking loser, and he's trying to talk shit about the Irish who built this fucking nation, literally and figuratively, you know? You see so many aspects of American culture that are Irish in nature, it's insane, you know? Scott, why did you private yesterday's stream? I just did such a bad job in the stream. I was like, yo, I gotta private that. It was like, typically I do a bad job on a stream. I'm like, whatever, who cares? They can't all be singers. But like that stream, I was just like, I was so frustrated by the end of it. I was just like, yo, I gotta stop. I gotta stop. I gotta stop, and I gotta get the stream out of here. You um, but yeah, that's why I did that. Raul Roses be like, what chihuahuas? Yeah, that's exactly what he's like. That was just a terrible fight. This card was going good. There were two good knockouts, especially that last fight with Dober and what's his face, Michael Johnson. That was a good fight between two dudes who were high energy. There was output. They really wanted to let each other have it, and one of them had it. One of them got it. Oh, excuse me, jeez. And then a boner killer, the fucking boner killer that was that fight. It just sucks, man. It just fucking sucks. Oh, excuse me. Um Yeah. Again, like this is how they're branding. This is how they're branding the White House card. UFC Freedom 250 with only 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 5. Is Daukaus uh Daukaus. He's American. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 12 fights on this card, so that means there are 12 fighters on the card. Less than half of those fighters are American. It's like, what the fuck? Anyway, it's just stupid. It's fucking stupid, dude. Shit, what was I gonna talk? What was I doing? What was I doing? I was doing something. I was checking something out. But yeah, like this guy right here. I don't know him. I would like to believe he's a good guy and his heart is in the right place. Okay. I would like to believe that. However, there is something about the whole physiognomy thing that if you pay attention, you will see. Someone like this has never had anything of substance to say in his entire life. A lot of people think that physiognomy is about looks, about what is considered to be attractive. And I mean, somebody who is someone who is not dysgenic. I don't know what the opposite of dysgenic is, right? Someone who is not dysgenic, yeah, they have a higher probability of being attractive, right? However, that does not necessarily mean that just because you're like dysgenic automatically means unattractive. There are attractive dysgenic people out there. They have just the right physical makeup that they can kind of make it work a little bit, and maybe they look smacks the right way and stuff like that, right? But what I mean is someone with soft features like this, a wide face, a very like unpronounced jawline, fucking soft eyes that say please don't hurt me. Someone like this is not the kind of person you want trying to make up policy or trying to tell people how to fix the world or what is true or false about a culture. Someone like this is the kind of guy who, again, I'm not saying he's absolutely positively the libertarian guy, but it would not surprise me to find that he had a libertarian phase where he was like, I want my pedophile neighbor to be able to own an AR-15 to protect his property. Like that type of shit. Actually, it's not pedophilia, it's ephebophilia. And in a libertarian society, a 15-year-old will have the right to choose. Like, it would not surprise me to find that he had one of those phases. And this is the kind of guy who thinks he's going to tell people what a heritage American is versus like a foreign horde kind of guy. You know, he's this is the guy who's going to tell you that the Irish in the 1860s came in and they used criminality to win over cities and stuff like that, you know? It's like, no, you're a dummy. Keep your mouth shut. You are a plebeian, a plebeian. I still don't know how to say that word. Maybe I should figure out how to say that word, but you are of the low caste. I don't care what you've done with your J6 documentary. I have no clue how popular or how well that has been. Apparently you got 25,000 followers on Twitter. Congratulations on that, I guess, right? But you are not worthwhile, and you can see it in your face. You've probably never been in a real fight. You've never been in a real situation where you've had to deal with people that want to come at you in a serious way. Everything that he has to say is theoretical. and that's all it ever is. It's almost like a game of chess to him, where in theory this should work. So, maybe we should try it, but also it's never going to get tried because no, there's never going to be a libertarian president. It's just never going to happen, right? So he gets to sit there smug in his assertion that, like, well, actually, the Irish in the 1860s were bad. And it's like, yo, fucking, you've never done anything with your life. You are a nothing. You are a nothing person, and that's just that. You know, people like that are just their opinion is not worthwhile, and the fact that they get to share it is like that's a crime. It should be a crime that happens. You know, I made this too. You know, the American spirit lives through me. Like, obviously I'm very Irish, and like I said, the Irish side of my family dates back to the 1860s. Actually the 1850s. My Irish ancestor came here at the age of 11, and at the age of 22, 11 years after he came here, he enlisted in the Union Army. And he fought to preserve the Union, and to say that, like, that's not a real American, or that, like, oh, like, that's how it worked out for him, is crime. It's like, no, fuck you. And even then, I'm a mutt. I'm an Amerimutt in the first place. I have founding stock in me. I am a heritage American via another branch of my family tree in the first place. The Dames, Jabez Dame. That's somebody who set up a part of New Hampshire. That's a great, 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 however many times great grandfather of mine. I don't know how he'd feel about the whole, me being a mutt thing, but we're family. Family's family to me. Anyway, uh, I'm kind of just waiting for the next fight right now. Like, Kyle Borralho just walked into the cage. He's about to walk into the cage, and of course they're doing their whole have to show you 40 ads per step. Oh man. Sorry, I'm just looking around at some shit, you know. Howling mutant. Fucking I saw this thing, right? TMZ, Travis and Jason Kelsey's mom, Donna Kelsey, is in the middle of a home renovation, TMZ has learned. Howling Mutant, keep us posted. I love Howling Mutant. I know everybody loves Howling Mutant, but he's just it's always fun to see him. Ooh, look at this. Ooh, he's doing his dance. Hell yeah, dude. That fucking rules. Anyway, all right. So we got Rainy DeRitter, who I'm pretty sure was also somebody who, like, I've seen him stall through fights before, so that kind of sucks. RDR was a multi-weight champion and won championship. Yeah, yeah, I heard about that. I heard about that. I knew about that. I thought it was Risen though. Was it Risen or was it One? I know it was one of the Asian promotions. But yeah, I'm curious how this is gonna go. I don't know how Baralio's jiu-jitsu is. These dudes, the fight nerds guys, they tend to be more strikers from what I've seen. So I don't know how this is gonna go, but oh, excuse me. This is also the co-main event. Excuse me. I just realized. So we're gonna see how this one goes. It's only 11 p.m. and it's the co-main event already. We'll probably have the main event a little bit before 12 with how this is gonna go down. I do kind of like that. I do kind of like that the cards start an hour early because it does get annoying being up till like 1 or 2. My Saturday schedule is around 10 or 11 p.m. start playing video games and don't stop until like 4 a.m. if I'm being honest with you. And I love doing these streams, but they cut into my video game time. Oh, a spinning mule kick, a spinning back kick, excuse me, right out the gate from Kyle Borralho. Kyle's hands are low, no doubt to try and stop Rainier from the takedown. And Borralho is aggressive right out the gate. I think that's probably because he's going to try and force the takedown from Rainier and sprawl. Rainier, his striking is not like ass, but it's definitely not that good. There's a low kick attempt from Rainier. Um, his striking is not ass, but it's not that good. You can see he's a little like he's a little he's a little tentative. He doesn't quite seem like he's got his sea legs in terms of the striking. So I think Baralho will probably try and hit him hard early to force a shot so that he can sprawl on that and then try his best to oh, there is a I don't know if Baralho caught De Ritter on the way in, but he ended up not taking him down, but he ended up sweeping him off his feet after the after that hook attempt. Um, Ooh, there was a jab from De Ritter with a counter from Baralho, but Baralho just took a knee to the balls. It looks like, and that's what I'm talking about. Is like there's kind of a novice, and there's a little bit of blood on Baralho's face. I'm wondering where that comes from, but oh, they caught each other in the nuts. They caught each other in the nuts there. They threw dual knees and caught each other. Bang, square in the balls. Oof. Seems like Baralho got the worst of that though. De Ritter wasn't even wow. Yeah, De Ritter wasn't even affected by that. I was gonna say you're seeing De Ritter raise his leg up, and that's kind of a novice striker move. Like you can utilize that as like a fake, but there's times where he's raising his legs, and it's like it's like why yo Baralho's birding off. Yo, Baralho's birding off. I just saw Baralho bird off. Holy fuck, that is insane. Somebody, somebody, somebody needs to send that clip to Bert. Actually, probably not. He'll probably like it too much. Ah man, I hope this. He's good. He's good to go. But like when you don't know what to do, when you're afraid of getting hit, sometimes you raise a knee up because it's like like that. And it's like I feel a little bit of that from Rainier de Ritter, if I'm being honest with you. Like there's just something awkward about his striking, and I don't think it's because he's like an awkward striker necessarily. I think it's because he is still getting his sea legs on the striking. Like there was a cross up the middle from Baralho. There's a kick. Yeah, like he doesn't know how to defend the kicks either. He's turning in. There's a hook from Baralho that lands. Like he's just there's a cross from Baralho right up the middle. There's a jab from De Ritter. Seems like it almost landed. There's a jab to the body from Baralho. Looks like De Ritter may have thrown a jab. I don't know if it landed though. Ooh, there's an overhand that lands from De Ritter. That's good. Yeah, like De Ritter. Oh, there's a cross up the middle from Baralho, followed by a hook cross after De Ritter tries to throw a kick. De Ritter keeps taking those kicks to the leg. Ooh, there's a counter cross from Baralho that staggered De Ritter, and then there's a jab from Baralho. Baralho lands basically whatever he wants to. And De Ritter doing that walking knee thing on the way in, that's gonna get him knocked out as soon as Baralho starts timing it, which is gonna happen pretty fucking soon. That's going to happen soon. I'm telling you. I would be very surprised if Baralho didn't notice the way De Ritter is walking in using the fake, showing the knees, And it wouldn't surprise me if he cuts back, bang, cross over the top, you know? Like right there. Like that time Baralio didn't move back. He stayed in and he pushed off. One of those times he's going to end up throwing a short left hand, you know? This is also another lefty lefty battle. Less handsome Paulo Costa. Yes, sir. And there is a takedown from De Ritter, but it seems like Baralio might be able to make his way out. Baralio needs to be careful. He is, and we're about it. We are about to see the same thing that happened in the last fight. We're about to see the same thing that happened in the last fight. De Ritter trying his best to maintain position. He's trying his best to take Baralio down. Baralio's trying to work the hands, trying to break those hands. You know, it's tough to break someone's grip from that position. What you Baralio holding the fence. I was wondering when fucking Herb Dean was going to notice that and stop it. You know, yeah. Again, Baralio trying to work on the grips. It's not working very well, and De Ritter is just holding position, throwing knees to the booty. Baralio is turned around. He is back. He is back to the cage right now. De Ritter is trying to pull him off and get a trip. It's not working right now, but De Ritter has Baralio's back again. Tries to lift his leg out from underneath him. Again, it's just not happening. Not working. Herb Dean needs to stop this. He needs to. There is a takedown attempt from De Ritter that does not quite work. He goes in for a single leg. He switches from a body lock to a single, and he almost gets the takedown. He actually gets the hip touch to the ground, but he just could not keep control. You know, yeah, that's. I mean, that's definitely Baralio's round. You cannot argue that in any way, shape, or form. There's no way you can. You know. One moment. Anyway. Yeah, so I mean, Baralio's keeping his hands low because he wants to try and down block for the takedown, which is not a bad idea. And the way, what's his face, De Ritter is fighting right now, he's not gonna win if he keeps trying to strike. So I'd like to see Baralio land a clean left hand. You know, again, like De Ritter doesn't know what to do with those kicks. They're just not working for him. You know, bang. There's a nice counter right hand, nice counter right hook in the replay. You know, oh man. All right, here we are, round two. There's a jab followed by a knee attempt from a far away distance from, ooh, couple of a jab cross from Baralio, and it looks like De Ritter is a little bit nervous here. Twitching. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You see, De Ritter is still trying to go for those knees. He's still trying to go for those knees up the middle. It's not a good. It's not a good idea for him. You know, he's got to stop moving forward. There's another low kick from Baralio. He needs to keep hammering away with those low kicks. If he can hammer away with those low kicks, it's going to be a lot harder for De Ritter to shoot in for the takedown because when you and you see what I was talking about with that fear response, that raise the knee just because you're scared. There's a cross from Baralio. Baralio piecing up De Ritter right now. There's another landed left hand. Yeah, you can see De Ritter. You can see De Ritter is just falling further and further behind in the striking department. There is a takedown attempt from De Ritter, and Baralio is able to stop it, but he is now back to the cage. We're going to see if De Ritter does the same thing he did last round. If he does, and he's not able to do any serious damage, I say this round goes to Baralio. Ooh, okay, we have a reversal. Now De Ritter is against the cage. Over-unders for Baralio. We're going to see what happens. If I was Baralio, I would try my best to disengage, but that's going to be tough because De Ritter just locked up the gable grip on Baralio. So in this case, yeah, I probably would hold position if I was Baralio, just for the fact that I want to try my best to not allow De Ritter to work. I don't want De Ritter to work here. We have Baraglio, who is reaching in between the legs for an underhook. He's got an underhook on the leg. That is interesting. It looks like he's actually trying to dump. It looks like he's trying to. It looks like he's in a position to try and dump DeRitter, but DeRitter just reversed. So Baraglio is back to the cage. He throws a knee, and it looks like Baraglio drives him off the cage. It looked like he was actually gonna go for a takedown there. There's a takedown attempt from Baraglio, I believe, off the cage. I believe Baraglio gave that position to DeRitter, but luckily Baraglio was able to get out of there. DeRitter not really able to do much right now. He's just holding on for dear life. Baraglio throwing a couple of knees to the inner thigh, and Baraglio goes for the double underhooks. For some reason, he gave those up. I don't know why. Ritter drops for a single leg, with Baraglio getting a whizzer on that. DeRitter has the leg lifted, but he is unable to do anything with it. Yeah, Baraglio looks up at Herb Dean. Herb Dean's like, "Go." It's like, nah. I think at this point, again, like it should be returned to the cage. And you see Herb Dean like clapping his hands now, like, "Come on, guys, come on." You know, there needs to be more than a "come on, guys." But anyway, they disengage. They are back to the center of the octagon. There's a leg kick from Baraglio. Some jabs from DeRitter driving him back after that leg kick, though. Jab to the body from Baraglio. Double jab cross from DeRitter doesn't really land. Baraglio tries to counter with an uppercut, does not work. Ooh, okay. Bit of a flurry there. Nothing really lands from either guy. You can see fatigue is definitely a factor for both of these guys right now. You know, DeRitter is looking extra sloppy right now as well. You know, the thing about and again, Baraglio doing a good job of trying to target that lead leg. That's going to make it better for him in round 3 when DeRitter undoubtedly tries to take him down. But with a little over 40 seconds in this round, I would have to give this round to Baraglio. Honestly, you see a little bit of blood underneath DeRitter's nose right now, you know. DeRitter is actually a little bit more active with the hands now, but he's not landing anything. And when he does, Joe Rogan actually mentioned it a second ago. They're not really there isn't really any gusto, you know. There's you know, he needs to pop a Viagra. He's not hard right now. As we reach the last 10 seconds in this round, DeRitter tries to shoot for another takedown, but the level change fails. We are probably going to end with Baraglio up against the cage. So yeah, I mean, as of right now, in my opinion, this is Baraglio's fight. Is it Baraglio or Bohalio, baby? Bohalio. Oh, I'm gonna still call him Baraglio. Anyway, um, yeah, this is Baraglio's fight right now, you know, and I'm honestly glad to see that because I don't like it's as a jujitsu black belt. I'm so sick of seeing grapplers who don't fucking do anything. It's the worst thing. That's one of the reasons why Josh Koscheck was so hated is because not only was he a shit talker and just a genuinely hateable guy, but he would take you down and hold you there forever and not do anything legit, you know? And it's like, man, that just fucking sucks, dude. I need a minute. Oh shit. We are at the beginning of the last round. We have 450 left. I did not realize the round was starting because there was no like, you know, no real indicator, uh, verbal indicator. But anyway, so Rainer de Ritter kind of like shoves a hand out there and what I think was supposed to be a jab, but you know, it just really ended up being a push and it did smother. Nice. Nice hook from Baraglio, but then there was a return jab cross that seemed to land, and De Ritter ends up on his ass after Baraglio takes him down with a sweep. There was a knee up the middle from De Ritter and a takedown from Kyle Baraglio. So DeRitter is now in the bottom position. He has a knee shield in from the half guard, and that knee shield is now out. So it is a, what is considered to be a traditional half guard, if you will, in a certain sense. Kyle Baralio looks like he's trying to get into a position to isolate DeRitter's right hand. DeRitter has double underhooks right now, which is good for him. He may be able to turn Baralio depending on what he does, which is what he's trying to go for now, but it's not working for him. So now Baralio is back to a cross-face position. He's got his head to the mat, and he is working a little bit right now. There's a couple of elbows there, but I think he's just trying to, stay on top, which in this context, I understand why, but, it would be nice to see some real action. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So we actually have an inverse of half guard right now. You see Kyle Baralio has a figure 4 around Rainier DeRitter's right leg, which is a strange choice because um like it's not really going to stop Rainier from getting his leg out if he wants to get it out, if he's able to get it out, It's weird to see that. I wonder why he decided to do that. It's easy to slip one leg out even in that position, it's what makes it tough though is that his upper body is isolated, and we have a guard pass. You don't tend to see those in Brazil in MMA. We have side control work right now with Rainier trying to frame to get out of there. And Rainier DeRitter is now inverted with Kyle Baralio on top. Kyle needs to stack like a motherfucker. He needs to fold him in half right now, which is what he is doing. Kyle Baralio doing a good job of stacking, folding him in half. And he now has the back. He does not have a back take, but he has access to the back right now. He has a 2-on-1 that he leaves, and now they are back to their feet. There is a left hand from Kyle Baralio that gets through a couple of jabs from Rainier. One of them seemed to kind of land a little bit. There was a kick to the body from Rainier DeRitter. Okay. Did not really land very well. We have a minute 40 left in this fight right now, and it seems like unless Rainier DeRitter can get a KO or a submission, it is not going to be his fight. Exchange, nothing really lands. Jab from DeRitter, and Baralio tries to go over the top, but neither of them land. There's a kick from Baralio. Couple of jabs from DeRitter. The second one lands. 46 significant strikes landing from both of them. I would assume I would assume in this fight 46 significant strikes per round. But then again, I don't know. Ooh, that was a hard digging shot to the body from Baralio. DeRitter keeping that jab pumping, just trying to throw something out there to keep him busy. There was an attempt at what looked like a weird uppercut to set up a takedown that does not work. And then DeRitter ends up on his back again, on his butt again, with a little under 40 seconds to go in this fight. Both men visibly tired. Looks like Kyle Baralio is a little bit more tired, but he's keeping the pace up, using his defense. There's a kick from Kyle Baralio. And a check hook from Baralio, which has been pretty good for him for the whole fight. That one did not quite land 100%, but it got through a little bit. There's a body kick that is deflected by DeRitter. And another check hook on the way in from Kyle Baralio. And 3, 2, 1, and a high kick does not land from Kyle Baralio. If this goes to anybody other than Kyle Baralio, that will be some bullshit. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. One of the things I'm happy about is I'm back to making short form content as well. I used to do like YouTube shorts about things that I tell my class during training, and I've started doing those a little bit more. So I'm happy about that. I enjoy doing those. A little bit of knowledge for people, specifically people that are just starting out. It's always a excuse me, it's always a good thing, you know. All right. My neck is like bothering me, you know. Of course, there's got to be ads. The judges are getting their shit together. Like I would rather them just go to commercial than have the whole like ads and then like only like 20% of the screen is taken up by what's going on in the UFC right now. Like what's going on in the UFC right this second is not even that like entertaining in the first place. So you might as well just say fuck it and like let it go, you know? But they're trying to do this in between thing where they show you a couple of ads and then keep the UFC up on the screen so that they can be like, actually, you're not missing as much action as when it was ESPN Plus. You're actually in better shape with us. It's like, shut the fuck up, you know? There we go. What's his nickname, baby? Sounded like the natural. Oh, that's funny. That was Randy Couture's nickname. That's something like when it comes to modern MMA, that's something as well. Is there's a lost art to ring names and fight names and stuff like that, you know. Back in the day, you had the Natural, the Prodigy. They called Vanderlei Silva the Axe Murderer. Mirko Crow Cop. Mirko Crow Cop's last name is Filipovich or however you say that shit. Um, the Last Emperor, the Spider. You like those are some fucking cool ass names. Those are some cool fucking names. You don't have that in the UFC anymore. I think the coolest nickname that I've heard in the last 10 years in the UFC is actually Habib's. Habib the Eagle Nurmagomedov. That's sick. As far as animal nicknames go, you never hear dudes talk about the eagle, you know. There will be the pit bull, you know. There were some shit names back in the day. Like everybody used to go by the pit bull or the assassin. And there was this one guy, I guess. I heard this story from a promoter that I fought for a couple of times. There was a guy at their gym because this promoter used to fight as well. There was a guy at their gym who they nicknamed the Pit Bull Assassin, and that was the joke. Is like, you've heard of the pit bull, you've heard of the assassin. Here's the Pit Bull Assassin. It was like a joke name basically. Now like there's so many like bad nicknames if people even have nicknames. That's a big thing in Brazil. It actually annoys me. My wife does this because I guess Brazilians do this. Um, she'll want to talk about Alex Pereira, and instead of saying Alex Pereira, she'll be like, "Oh, Botan," or Boachinha. She'll just straight up say the nickname and nothing else, or like Alex Botan, and it's like we don't do the whole nickname thing that hard. It's a fight name. We're they're not fighting right now. We're just talking about him, so we can just do our thing and talk about him as though he's just a regular person. But like at the very least, they still will do like nicknames. Like that's cool. Like Boachinha is like the eraser. That's cool. That's cool as shit. What's baby? What's Poetan mean again? It's like the homosexual, right? That's what it means. Rough hands. Oh, 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 oh. So it's hands of stone. Yeah, 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 yeah. Who else? Like the natural, you know? Um, there's something to nicknames, you know. There's something to nicknames. And the guys in the early days, they had those Tank Abbott. David Tank Abbott. Just going by the name Tank Abbott, that's fucking sick, dude. You know, that's Diesel. But like, you know, there's a lot of guys today. Like even Blessed to me is like borderline. I feel like it leans towards a good nickname, you know. Do Bronx is like that's if someone's from the favela, they say they're Do Bronx, right? At least that's what my wife told me. She may have lied to me. She may have lied to me. My wife has been known to lie to me to make a fool of me. Like she told me the way to call somebody your wife is to say your marida. But no, it's not true. No, I made a fool of myself because I saw somebody that I know from work who's a Cape Verdean, which means she speaks Portuguese. She doesn't really speak English, and I went over and I had my wife with me, and I was like, oh, like this lady's really nice. I want you to see her. I want you to say hello to her, and I was like, Mia marida, and they all laughed. They all laughed at me. Yeah, a husband is a marido, and if you want to refer to the wife, you say mil cachorro. No, that means my dog. Cachorro is a dog. Esposa. Excuse me. I almost forgot. I almost forgot the how I would refer to her. You know. But yeah, yeah, that's one thing you can give to the Brazilians is that they actually have good nicknames still, you know. There is something to the nicknames. They're not nothing, you know. And like it's cool every now and again you have a guy who like they have a funny nickname, they have a weird nickname, you know. Like I get it, you know. Sometimes somebody does something funny and you're like, "Oh, that's going to be your nickname now." And that's just like the name that they fight with when they fight, you know. But like there's too much either a no nickname, which is somebody who never had a nickname myself, like, you know, I get it. My coach tried to give me a nickname the day of my first fight. He tried to find the ring announcer and say his nickname is the Red Dragon. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Get out of here with that shit. That's so cheesy. That's so awful, you know? Um but yeah, like I'm glad I didn't have a nickname because of that, you know? Um, but like there's a lot of dudes who have shitty nicknames and because of that they're kind of forgettable, you know. It's their nicknames are dysgenic, if you will. They have dysgenic nicknames, you know. But anyway, we're getting ready for that main event right now. There was a fighter called the Barn Cat. That is funny. That's like one of those like kind of humorous nicknames, but at the very least it's a at the very least it's a at the very least it's creative. You know, how many people do you know that are named the Barn Cat? Oh, excuse me. I can see Holloway overwhelming Charles or Charles taking him down and submitting him. Yeah. I could see either of those. I mean, Charles tries to strike now. He doesn't just go straight for the takedown. He wants to strike with people. So I would lean towards Max getting the better of Charles because Charles has been finished. What happened in the last one? Who won the last one? I'm curious because this is Oliveira versus Holloway too. Oliveira versus Holloway one. I'm curious, curious, curious. I'm curious, George over here. Um, in 2015 is when that first fight took place. That is crazy. It's crazy how long these guys have been fighting in the UFC, you know? You don't see that as much anymore. You don't see dudes that they get in at age like 19 and they stick around for a long time, you know? But yeah, Max Holloway won via TKO. I guess it was an esophagus injury in the first round at a minute 39. which oh, okay, all right, yeah, yeah. Holloway secured a head kick that led to Oliveira's injury, forcing the stoppage. Okay, yeah, I see. Um, excuse me. Yeah. So that's it's been a long time though, you know. It's been a long time. People talk about Charles Oliveira and they say like, you know, he had ups and downs in his career, but he finally hit his stride within the last like 5 years or so. Oh yeah, there it is. You know, the esophagus injury right there, you know, is what they got going on. Holloway has been killing these older lightweights like Poirier and Gaethje. Yeah, he has, you know. The thing is like Poirier and Gaethje, it's safe to say that they were past their prime for a little while. And I'm not saying Oliveira is like in his prime either. He's probably on his way down at this point. But I also don't think Max Holloway is going to be in his prime either. I think it's a situation where I think it's a situation where Max Holloway, if people are going down at say the same rate, this is Max Holloway and this is Charles Oliveira or other people anyway. It's just like Max Holloway is not getting any younger, he's not getting any better, but he's just better enough than a late 30s Poirier and a late 30s Justin Gaethje. He is just old enough that he is he's able to put those guys away. Just old enough, just better enough, excuse me. Um what was I going to look for? I feel like I was going to look for something. I forget what. Oh yeah, I was going to look up how old Max Holloway is. Oh, what the fuck, man? Yeah, born in '91. So he's actually not that old. I figured he was a lot older than he actually was. You know, he's only 3 years older than me. Versus Oliveira, who I believe was born in the late '80s. Charles Oliveira. Yeah, he was born in '89, so he's 36 years old. Yeah, so I mean, to me it kind of makes sense. I mean, look at Dustin Poirier, right? Um, no, actually, shit, I didn't realize it, but Poirier was born in '89 too. Huh? Shit. He's 87, 87, oh, 37, excuse me. He's 37 years old, you know. I mean, dudes mature at different ages, or do you know what I mean by that? Dudes yeah, November 14th, 1988. Yeah, so he's 37 right now. Yeah, like people are all different, you know. So it's like I don't know, someone like Charles Oliveira, um you know, I wouldn't count him out necessarily, but if it comes to a striking match, I do think that I what's his face? I do think Holloway has an advantage because even though Oliveira is very technical, he doesn't overextend. It almost looks like he's shadow boxing when he's fighting. Which is really impressive. Like, I just think that Holloway is not only technical himself, but he's also probably quicker than Oliveira. And I think that is what will give him the advantage on the feet. On the ground, I don't see Max being able to stand, you know, to stand up to Charles. I don't see that happening, but it depends on whether or not Charles can actually take it to the ground, you know. As I lose weight, I start to work out a little bit more, and like I think about life, and I was talking about it last night. You know, you can't see this because I privated the stream, but I was able to get my shit together for just enough time as to where I was able to describe my feelings on time and how I cannot stand when my time is wasted, and I cannot stand people who knowingly waste my time. And I've become very militant about making sure that I use my time wisely. But the other side of that is knowing that I'm only 31 years old and I have time if I wanted to. And there's a piece of me that's like, yo, why don't I fight again? And I can just be really selective about who I fight. And I string together like 5 or 6 wins, and then I really, really push to try and find somebody who can get me on a Dana White's Contender Series card. And then, maybe who knows what happens there? Who knows what happens there? And it's a combination of knowing that I was wasted potential. My potential was not fully realized. I know that I could have hung in the UFC, if I had gotten out of my own way. um there's other aspects to it too, but and there's a piece of me that's like, fuck, man, like, why don't I give it one more shot? Why don't I give it one more shot? But I know it's not a good idea. I'm gonna be 30. Let's say I do have it happen, right? I'd maybe make it to Dana White's Contender Series at the age of, say, 33, 34, let's say, right? I'm going to be 34 years old, making 2020, or there's even less than that. You get dudes who are on a 12-12 contract. I'm gonna make $2,400 to fight in the UFC at the age of 34. It's like, forget about it. Fucking forget about it. Oh man, my throat is a little hoarse. Did you hear about Usman? He was angling for a fight with Makashev, and the matchmakers basically told him nah and offered him Dricus at middleweight. Yeah, that's a weird one for someone like Usman to try and take right now. He did very well against he did very well against Hamzat, and that is like, he earned a lot of like admiration for me, because before that I absolutely hated Kamaru Usman. He was not a likable guy. He's not a likable guy, and he was also a boring champion at 170. He was not a fun champion. He was not a good champion at 170. He was dominant, but it was annoying to see him there. He's just not a good watch. How good he did against Hamzat is, I was like, ooh, wow, damn, like that's sick, you know. Um, but yeah, like, giving him Makashev at 170, nah, nah, fucking nah. I'm sorry. That's somebody else who, if they were gonna fight, they should have been fighting on the White House card. Would be someone like Kamaru Usman. You know, even though I don't personally love the guy, it would have made a lot more sense to have him there than, I think it was like Rufy or something like that. Mauricio Rufalin. These two are closer in age than I thought. They are. But yeah. I don't know. We're gonna see how this goes. We're gonna see how this goes. Man, my fucking eye. I got something in it. this is one of those fights that I truly don't know like what's gonna go down. Like I'm just like, oh shit, how's this gonna go? What are we gonna do here? Fuck, how's it going? Kind of like I said, my throat's kind of hurting, so I'm kind of trying to save my voice. I'm just like, all right, I'll let Bruce do the talking here. You know, let Bruce Buffer do his thing. You know. Mm. Hmm. Looking at Twitter while I have the chance. All right. All right. They look to be about the same. They look to be about the same height. You know, I'll give them that. Every every time I see Max Holloway, I think about that meme about him. I'll show it to you after that after the fight. Ooh, there's a leg kick to open up this fight. Lands thudding. There's another leg kick from Oliveira. There's an attempted teep from Max Holloway, followed by a jab. Ooh, there was a nice overhand right. And that's what I'm talking about is like Holloway is quick. You can see how quick he is, you know? And he's not just quick, but he also has some power there. And Oliveira is swinging with him. And there is a takedown from a body lock from Charles Oliveira. We're going to see if he can do anything with this. There's a knee. That's something you don't see that much in MMA anymore. You used to see knees from side control, but you don't see that much. You know, it's cool to see that. There's another knee attempt from side control from Oliveira, not as hard as the last one. And Oliveira is really trying to make sure he keeps that good side control because side control and no gi is really tough to keep. You got to really pressure down. You got to really commit to it. You know, I'm hoping that. That was almost a knee to the head there. Charles has to be careful about that. He switches to knee on belly. He's going to try to get that mount, but it is not going to work. And he goes back to a knee on belly position. There are some elbows to the head of Max Holloway. Max Holloway is holding on, trying his best to create some space, not having a good go of it right this second. But Charles is prioritizing keeping the position over landing shots right this second. So if he decides he's going to change that prioritization, and Max is back to his hands and knees, has to be very careful because Charles is backpacking on him right now. This is actually a position Charles Oliveira is very comfortable in, and it can be tough because not only do you have to protect your neck, which Charles has a rear naked choke in right now. What Max needs to do is he needs to pull the arm down, which he is doing right now, which is good for him. He needs to pull the arm down, and he needs now when he pulls that arm down, he has to try his best to pry the other arm out as well. He's doing a good job hand fighting. That makes it hard for, yes, Charles gave up the rear naked choke for a second, but he switches sides. That's what Charles is so dangerous with his back take, is that he'll just sit there and he knows he's got you. It's just a matter of when he's going to be able to sink that rear naked choke in. What Max needs to do is I wouldn't even try to get out necessarily. I would just get my back to the mat. I would in this case I would be comfortable taking Charles being in mount over being on my back at this point. Although Max is doing a good job of not panicking, it seems like Charles is trying to sink the rear naked choke, which will tire his arms out as time goes on. There is a point where you have to wonder, if you're Charles Oliveira, like if it's better to just try and transition to a different position or try and prioritize striking. Got a little bit under 2 minutes in this fight, and we are still in this back take position with Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira up against the cage. Charles lands a short left hand trying to soften up Max a little bit, but Max is doing a good job of protecting his neck, making sure that Charles's right arm is trapped. And ooh, that you got to be careful there. That was almost a downward elbow to the back of the head. So right now, Charles back against the cage. Max is still caught in that back take. He has got to be careful. It's tough to get out of a good back take. Me, I'm actually not very good from the back take. When I have somebody's back, I prefer to try and transition to something else. I've never been that good at holding the back take. And when you get someone who's really good with it, like Charles, who has long, slim legs, so because of that, he's able to get body locks, figure four body locks like he's got now, it can be really, really tough. Ooh, we have a neck crank from Charles, and I think Max might be able to get out of it. Yes, Max is able to get out of it. We have a little under 40 seconds left in this round, and Max is doing a good job staying relaxed, composed, and making sure that he protects what he needs to protect. But this is definitely Max kind of showboating a little bit, knocks on Oliveira's head a little bit. Oliveira covering the eyes and the nose of Max Holloway right now. And we will probably end this round in that position with Max Holloway just holding on for dear life right now. There's a couple of strikes from Oliveira, an elbow, and then an attempt at a punch. Nothing really lands like that. And that is the end of the round with nothing. I wouldn't say nothing of note. There were some submission attempts there that I would say that is definitely Oliveira's round. And the reason I give it to Oliveira is because he was actually active. Oh man. He struck a little bit, but mainly what I would give it to him for was the submission attempts. He didn't do that bad on the feet as well, but it did seem a little bit more even, I guess you could say, on the feet. It seemed a little bit more even on the feet. If anything, I might give it a Max on the feet. That takedown came from Charles charging forward, putting Max against the cage, and then closing distance off of that. Oh, I thought that was DC for a second. I thought that was fucking Daniel Cormier. All right. So we are beginning round 2 of this 5-round fight. We're going to see what happens. There's a kick from Oliveira up the middle. Push kick from Oliveira. And Max returns with some punches. Ooh. Max level changes. He goes to the body and then he goes hook cross, and Charles is in for a takedown, but he does not get it. He tried to catch a kick, and there is the takedown right there. He lifts up and then he gets the takedown, and now Max Holloway trying to keep Charles Oliveira from passing the guard, which is always easier said than done. We're gonna see if Charles can be active from this position or if he's gonna try his best to hold position because you can't pass for one reason or another. But this is a really bad position for Max to be in because his head is up against the cage, which means he can't create space. There's only so much space he can create. If he wants to get out of there, what he has to do is either A, get his back to the cage and use it to stand up, which is what he's trying to do right this second. But unfortunately, it did not work. Instead, he ended up in the mount position, talking about Charles Oliveira was able to pass to the mount position off of Max trying to stand up off the cage. Or what he could do is he could try to shrimp so that he redirects where they are. And when his head is off the cage, he can use that to try and create more space, but that's obviously that ship has sailed a little bit right now. Not completely and totally. Charles has a knee slice right now on Max's left leg, excuse me, and he is working on trying to keep the position right now. He has a it's kind of tough to see what he's got. He's got a back take right now, which is obviously not good, and I think he's just trying to establish and maintain position, and he is going for another rear naked choke. This is actually I thought he had a fulcrum choke for a second, but he didn't. And here is another rear naked choke from Charles Oliveira. We're going to see if Max can escape this. Yes, there is. Ooh. Downward elbows, 12-6 elbows from Oliveira. There is one to the back of the head. He's got to be very careful about that. Yeah, if you can body triangle somebody, it's so tough for them to get out of it. It's like next to impossible, You actually used to be able to do it in wrestling, but because it was so tough to escape from, they made it illegal. It was so tough to escape from that people were like, "Yo, people are barely it's too OP. It's just too OP." So people started they banned it. Now you can cross your legs in wrestling, but you're not allowed to go for the body triangle. The thing about a body triangle too is that not only is it tough to get out of, but it also squeezes your midsection in a way that makes it tough for you to it makes it tough for you to breathe. So it's just tiring you out more and more as time goes on. Ooh, we have a rear naked choke that is also kind of a neck crank. We're going to see what happens here. I think if it does work, it's going to be the neck crank, but it looks like it is not working. Max Holloway is still, again, very composed, very relaxed. Nothing really working on him in the submission department right now, but he is still losing in terms of control. One thing that he might be able to do is he might be able to pin Oliveira's right leg on the ground and turn into him if he's able to separate his hips, enough from Oliveira, which could potentially happen. It's just tough because of the body triangle in particular. He's got the right side to be able to try and do that, but as long as he's being squeezed, it's going to be tough for him to rotate in Oliveira's legs, and Oliveira is electing to try and go to a leg riding position in that case. So right now, there's hand fighting going on right now. DC was talking about trying to slide Oliveira's left leg forward to try and separate the triangle. And it looked like Holloway was going for that, but it seems like he elected not to do that. 10 seconds in this round right now. I would like to see a little bit more ground and pound. I'll give Oliveira credit. He's not just holding on for dear life. He has gone for submission attempts whenever he feels that he can. But it is. I would like to see a little bit more action from him on top. I like the takedowns. He is going for some ground and pound too, but he is mostly prioritizing just trying his best to just trying his best to trying his best to what's it called he's trying his best to just hold the position, you know. Oh man, waiting for this next round to get going. Wait, what the fuck was that? Dude, Paramount Plus just shit the bed on me. It just went black screen. Hold on one sec. Where's the remote? Where's the remote? The remote. We're not watching the UFC, then you figure out where it is because Paramount Plus shit the bed. So I don't know what the fuck is going on. Gotta love these fucking streaming services, dude. Oh man. I went to Crumble Cookie today. I got some mini cookies. Some mini cookies. That is pretty frustrating that that would happen in the middle of the main event. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? What are we paying for? There needs to be a law passed that states if something like this happens, you get money back. You get a discount. There needs to be like genuine consequences for this. I know for a fact this shit would not happen. They would be on top of their shit if they actually had to pay for that. All right, here we are. We got 3 minutes and 13 seconds in the third round, and Charles is in side control. All right. So we now have the mount position. And again, Charles prioritizing position over damage. Not loving the fuck out of it, but at least he's doing more than Raul Rosas. Like there was just an elbow right there, you know. Paramount Plus fucking up again. It's freezing, and it's really weird because the action is freezing, but the overlay is not. So the action will freeze, but you'll see the timer continue to tick down. That is a really that's a really weird one, you know. So we have half guard right now. Yeah, not a whole lot happening, honestly. It's Charles is caught in half guard, you know. Ooh, okay. So that's what we fucking missed when Paramount Plus was fucking up. We missed a knee to the head. And those are some pretty sick takedowns, you know. That is one thing with Charles is like you will go airborne, you know. All right, we're entering the championship rounds right now. And again, like this is for the BMF belt, so it does feel a little weird and annoying the idea that like someone's just gonna hold position and they're gonna get the BMF belt, you know? I want to see more action from Charles. I want to see a submission from Charles. You know, I'd like to see him strike a little bit more too if he can. Knowing that he can take it to the ground whenever he feels like, I'd like to see him kind of play around on the feet a little bit more, which feels like it feels like that's what we're getting right now. You know, we're seeing Charles. You know, he's marching forward. He's willing to exchange with Max. You know, and there is another takedown attempt. He changes levels, does not quite get it right now. We're going to see if Max can reverse this position here. Oh, circling. Charles trying a long step, but it's not working for him. And there is another takedown. So we are in side control, and Charles is just hanging out. Hi, Scott. Thanks for commentating for my stream crashed for the past 6 minutes. Finally back up. Yeah, no problem. Mine fucked up too. But honestly, you didn't miss too much. There was an interesting now it's kind of heating up a little bit. You're seeing Charles. He's got the back again. He's throwing some elbows, but like you really didn't miss much. Charles was mostly just holding position on top, kind of doing the Dagestani thing, which is really annoying. Um, what was I gonna say? There was a nice knee to the head on Max. Like even now, Charles is kind of, he's just trying to keep the position. He's not really fighting for a submission or anything like that. It'd be nice to see him try for an armbar. It'd be cool to see him. It'd be cool to see him transition to an armbar. I think he could do something like that. But uh, you know, you know, yeah, just kind of hanging out. It's the last round. I like Charles has it in the bag right now, unless he gets knocked out or submitted. I'm hoping that maybe Charles will be game for a round five. You know, doing what he needs to, like striking. I'm hoping that he'll keep it mostly striking. But yeah, this is kind of fucking, you know. All right. Well, round five starting. Couple of front kicks from both of them. And there is a shot attempt from Charles Oliveira. And, ooh, Max Holloway is now on top with Charles Oliveira on bottom in the guard. We have a half guard anyway, you know. So we have Max, again, half guard, trying to keep that position. He probably feels a little lucky to be in that position at this point in the fight. Also, Charles is doing a good job of keeping his head in close. Jujitsu theory, the way people think of jujitsu, you're always trying to create space. But in a fight, you don't always want to create space. You need to know when to close distance as well. Because right now, Charles is taking shots to the head, but those shots to the head are not anything to be like too worried about in terms of damage. Seems like Max is almost hitting him in the back of the head in some cases. He's got to be careful about that. But Yeah, so Charles is doing a good job even on bottom of like biding time and waiting for a moment. And if it's not coming, he's not. Ooh, there is a sweep attempt from Charles coming up. We're gonna we're going to see if he can actually hit this. What he's got to do is he's got to get some momentum. He's got to roll to his left, which is what he's doing right now. And he's going to try to roll to his right, but that did not work. Max was able to get out of there. And after Max was able to stop the sweep, he tried to go for a leg entanglement, but that also did not work. So Charles stood up in the single leg position and takes Max down. Max is now on bottom with Charles in a closed guard head to head right now. Again, Charles just kind of prioritizing holding position, you know. All right. Repeat. You know, like there's a little hope that I have that around the 10-second mark, Charles Oliveira will do the Reddit thing, right? In this case, what I mean is he'll be like, okay, let's get up and let's go to the center of the octagon and let's point to point to the ground. Let's go. I at this point I kind of hope that happens. But yeah, yeah. 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 I don't know. I do not know. Oh man. I have like a hair or something in my throat. It's like, oh, you know? Ah, man. So Charles, half guard, again, just pressure. We have a little bit under a minute. Stream, not doing so well right now. You see pixelation and all this other shit. It's really annoying. Really, really obnoxious. And Max Holloway back to his legs. 20 seconds left in this fight. Now would be the perfect time for Charles to be like, let us go to the middle of the octagon. 10 seconds. Charles Oliveira swinging. He did it. He did it. Yay. They had about 7 seconds of nice, like, you know, swinging for the fences. You know, Charles did catch Max once. You know, you could see bang, caught him right here. You know, that was nice. You know, that was nice to see, I guess. But yeah, kind of lackluster. Kind of lackluster, if we're being honest here. We know who's gonna be awarded the we know who's gonna be awarded the win. We will go ahead and we will go ahead and we will stick around for that, of course, you know. Damn, that was definitely not the fight I was expecting. Me either. Me either. You know, it's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Charles Hamzat Oliveira. Yeah, yeah. He's got a fucking eyes. He starts the fight off clean shaven. He gets up after this fight. He's got the beard with no mustache, the beard with no goatee thing going on. Yeah, well, you know, sometimes it just don't work out that way. You know, you want it to, but it just don't work out. It is what it is. You know what you gonna do? What you gonna do? But like I said, we're gonna stick around. We're gonna stick around for the judge's decision. Excuse me. Once it's made official, we will go ahead and we will head on out. We are actually a little bit before the 3 hour mark. These UFC cards, the way they were paced on the ESPN, I feel like I used to be here for like 4 or 5 hours. Now it's kind of a quick 3 hour stream. The way it's been for a little while now. By the way, what's going on, Dismoto? Does bleaching your hair make you punch harder? I would assume so. I would assume so. Scott, what can a fighter do when the champ just play it like that? I talked about this a little bit earlier. Excuse me. I talked about this a little bit earlier. The issue with this kind of strategy in the UFC is that when someone, regardless of who it is, but especially a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt and a high level one like Charles Oliveira, when someone like that decides they want to hold you down, there is very little you can actually do in that scenario. When they, at the cost of any and all offense, any and all movement that could bring them an early victory, they decide they're just going to hold you down and lay there and just not do anything else. It is incredibly difficult, so difficult to actually be able to do anything about that, regardless of who you are. And MMA is the one grappling place that you are actually allowed to do that. When you go to a jiu-jitsu tournament, they have rules about stalling where you will eventually be disqualified. Same thing with wrestling, except wrestling is actually a little less stringent about it. Where what'll happen is if you stall, you will be warned, then a point will be awarded to the other guy, and there will be a reset. So if you're stalling on top and you're not doing anything, you're just holding on for dear life, they will actually allow the other guy to stand up for free, and he will get a point for that. If I remember correctly, it's been years since I've been in a wrestling environment, but that's how I remember it. Um, in any like grappling environment, there are timidity and there are stalling rules. In MMA, they don't have those. You don't lose anything if you just hold somebody down forever. And that's why Pride was superior to the UFC as an MMA product, is because they had the yellow and red card system where you would get a yellow card if you were not fighting hard enough. If you were, and a yellow card is not just like a warning, it is, but it also means a 10% deduction to your purse. So now your purse just got lighter. So now you're probably really going to go for it when it comes down to it, you know? Man, you can tell that's Charles Oliveira's daughter. But yeah, like yeah, you know, it's just frustrating. The UFC rule system is broken and they need to fix it. And unfortunately, the fixes that they're trying to come up with are not really fixes in the way that they need, you know? If you go for a takedown on the White House card, you get deported. That's how it should be, honestly. Fuck yeah. Max definitely never fought a grappler like this before. Oh yeah, I don't think so. If he did, he probably had an easier time controlling the fight, you know. They're supposed to stand them up in the UFC too. Do you think they need a shot clock style system where the guy on top must show offense? That's exactly what I was talking about earlier in the stream as well. Is these guys, meaning the referees, they need to be able to count to like 30, 45, 60 seconds, right? Something like that. And when they hit that point, if there has been no meaningful offense, whether it's an improvement of position or if it's damage done, if there's no meaningful offense, they need to stand people up. They can't just sit there, you know? Like, yeah, in theory, they're supposed to stand people up. They're supposed to pull people off each other and say, hey, it's time for you to like you're gonna start from the you're gonna start from the center of the ring now, you know? That's like, in theory, that's what they're supposed to do, but these referees don't do it anymore unless it's incredibly egregious. and each referee has a different opinion on what incredibly egregious is, you know? But hey, that is what it is. We have a little over 2 minutes until that 3 hour mark, and you know what? I feel like making it official, so we're gonna chill for that 2 minutes. You know. Oh, excuse me. Um, hold on. Sorry, I got an important message halfway through that, so it's like I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, like it's almost a good thing that that fight was so boring because I'm like texting somebody about something very important and I'm like, oh shit, what's going on in the fight? Oh, nothing. It's cool, it's cool, it's cool. All right, it's cool, it's all good. I ain't got to worry about it, you know. Oh man. Yeah, thank you everybody who tuned in today. I appreciate that. I noticed, I mean, the total views, I broke 100 views, which is good on the stream total, but like the concurrent views definitely were not great this stream. So I appreciate everybody who showed up. If you're still here right now, I appreciate the hell out of you. As you know, I might stream tomorrow, and if I do, it's going to be a Kick exclusive. We will see what happens there. I want to. Oh man, I'm all itchy. I want to. I want to have a little bit of fun tomorrow. Listen to some music, talk about some stuff. I gotta get that call-in thing figured out. I've been wanting to get it figured out for months now, and I just never got around to it. But yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it is what it is. I'm old hat. I've been old hat for a long time now. I appreciate the people who stuck around. I anticipate that with season 5 of Fish Tank starting on whatever day of the week the 15th, excuse me, which I believe is next Sunday, so it's a little over a week from now. I will have even less viewers than I did before. And I understand, you guys want to see Fish Tank. It's all good. I'm not like angry about that or like bitter. I just want to say thank you, everybody who's been here for a long time. Thank you to the people who supported me throughout the time that I was doing this. I'm gonna keep doing it. It's not like I'm gonna be like, well, Fish Tank started. I guess I should just quit. That's not what this is. But if this week is the last time I see you, if this week is the last time I see you, then thank you for popping in over the years. Surprised there wasn't a 10-8 in there. Yeah. That first round could have been a 10-8 probably. It probably could have been a 10-8. But with that said, we are at the 3 hour mark. Again, one last time, thank you everybody who tuned in today. I had a good time. I hope you did too. If I do stream tomorrow, I'll let everybody know on Twitter as well as in Discord. Like I said, it'll probably be a not a Discord stream. What the fuck? Why would I stream on Discord? Fucking anyway, it would be a kick stream. Okay, so we can actually do some fun stuff on there. But yeah. Peace out. Till next time. Peace out.